Hello. Welcome to the 14th part of the Solo Max level newbie. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that when the giant says, "Those stupid humans. They could never break down the barrier Mother had made." Giant says, "Idiots. Real idiots." Other giant hits him and says, "Go make your rounds instead of slacking off here." He says, "He's always so harsh with me. There's nothing to keep an eye out for anyway." T-Bone is sneaking in. Giant sees him. And Jin-hyuk also gets there. T-Bone says, "Master, we've been caught." System says, "Resisting the barrier." He says, "All right, I was looking for one of them anyway." Giant says, "What?" Someone says, "Miram at the east. The Empire in the west. I can feel them knocking at my barrier." She says, "They continue to struggle with my barrier." Tree of Life Yggdrasil. A giant says, "Dear Yggdrasil, please do not worry. No one will be able to approach your barriers. And even if they do somehow succeed, I am the king of them. Boss of the 21st floor Abrachan, king of the giants." King says, "Children of Yggdrasil, the inferior humans are currently attacking us in hopes of taking our mother away from us." How sorrowful is that? That is right. Our future is under threat. But if we, of the great blood, are all to rise up against them, we are bound to succeed. I shall ask again, my comrades, are you ready to charge into battle? A female giant says, "Your Majesty, is there really a chance of winning?" King says, "No, the enemies can do nothing but look us down and most of us will end up starving to death. But it doesn't matter. As long as Mother lives, we will survive." Yggdrasil says, "Child, why are you here?" Everyone ventured outside to protect. Jin-hyuk says, "I finally got through the barrier." "Hey, you don't actually believe that your barrier's invincible, did you?" She thinks only the giants can enter here. Did he use that child as his key to get in? Even then, for a mere human to withstand the exterior barrier. System says, "The Tree of Life is activating summon. My soldiers of paradise lost. A human dares to enter my paradise lost without permission. Make him pay for this impudence." Jin-hyuk thinks Yggdrasil keeps up 2 layers of very powerful barriers. It takes a lot of power to keep both up, so she won't be able to upkeep both barriers while she activates another skill. The reason the 2 barriers are so strong is if the exterior one is broken, she can activate the interior one for a double barrier. But that also means that when there is threat acting upon both barriers, Jin-hyuk activates the element of fire. He thinks she has to deactivate one of them. He says, "Make your choice, Yggdrasil." Jin-hyuk says, "Will you let the fortress walls down?" Jin-hyuk says, "Or will you die by my hand here?" She thinks, who is this insane human? She says, "The Holy Empire underground graveyard catacombs. Twins are fighting," she says. "I thought this was the Holy Empire? Why are there so many undeads?" "I don't know. At least it's keeping us busy." The corpses of the holy knights buried here became undead soldiers. This is definitely not normal. Jin-hyuk receives the call from Teresa. She says, "As you said, there are some irregularities." She says, "Jin-hyuk, are you okay?" He says, "I'm okay. You can keep talking." She says, "Undead soldiers are appearing in the catacombs of the Holy Empire. It's as if the divine power that had been protecting this place is gone." Jin-hyuk says, "Get rid of all of the undead there and summon all of the holy knights. The demonic humans have already passed through the catacombs. They're faster than I imagined." The video call ends. One of the twins says, "Are you good?" What did he say? She thinks if Jin-hyuk reacted like that, it must mean that something really bad is happening. One of the undead attack him from behind. She grabs it from its neck and she says, "Change of plans. I'm going to absorb all of the demonic energy here. All of you, get out." Tree of Life is fighting against Jin-hyuk. She thinks this invader baster is strong. The Tree of Life insect soldiers won't do. Abrachan, there is an invader in Paradise Lost. Come to me. If I don't turn on the inner barrier, my white jade might be in danger. King thinks, white jade. The essence of holding a mother's power. We cannot have that taken away. But if Mother deactivates the barrier here, the Empire and Miram bastards will all come crowding in. He says, "I will try to resolve this, Mother." East of the Giants' Fortress Miram Force. 3rd group charge. I don't want to die. They are able to get in and says, "Wait, what?" Nothing happened. I think the barrier is gone. I don't know what happened, but it seems like this is our chance. Show what you've learned. Chun rushed inside really fast, they say, Sword Saint. Chun Yu-sung. Miram Forces says, charge forward. The barrier is done. Giants are really surprised and says, I can't believe it. Mother's barrier is down. Chun Yu-sung gets inside and activates the soul-chasing sword. He attacks a lot of giants at once. Beck gets there and says, giants are known to withstand even the Aura Blade, but you did it pretty easily. You've improved quite a bit. Sword Saint. He thinks the castle walls should be taken over pretty quickly since the barrier is down. I assume it's the same for the Empire's side too. It can't be a coincidence that the barrier is gone. It's definitely him who did this. What the hell are you doing in there? Kong Jinhyuk. Yggdrasil activates the inner barrier. System says, gravity's effects will be increased tenfold. The coefficient of mana will be increased 4 times. Efficiency of movement will be decreased by 80%. The sense will be distorted. Stamina will decrease by 3 per second. Jinhyuk thinks, even my barrier can't nullify all these curses. In the end, T-Bone says, Master. Jinhyuk says, it's okay. He says, Yggdrasil, do you really think you can stop with just this? She says, you may be strong, but this is my territory. Unless you are a child born with the blessing of my white jade, you cannot survive this. Jinhyuk says, I already had an idea that your inner barrier's really strong. But now that you've activated this to protect yourself, I'm sure you children are being massacred outside. Are you fine with that? She says, it hurts hard, but I have no other choice. It'll be worth it if I can eliminate you. Jinhyuk smiles and says, is that so? You said that no living creature can survive here unless they're your child. Are you sure about that? She says, I am the tree of life, Yggdrasil. All life within my territory falls under my authority. I like that answer. Jinhyuk activates Judgment of Anubis. System says, reduces the subject's state by 50% and restricts their usage of skills and unique ability for 1 minute. She thinks, what? My power suddenly. He says, a living being can never be free from your curses. That's why I brought him. Since he's already dead. System says, choosing T-Bone as the fighter. T-Bone is now a Grand Death Knight. T-Bone says, I can feel the power surging through me, Master. He says, T-Bone. Her body holds this thing called the White Jade. He says, yes. Jinhyuk says, what do you mean, yes? Go get it. T-Bone attacks her. She says, stop that thing. The curse won't work. He knew this would happen. T-Bone easily destroys her and grabs the White Jade. He says, I'll be as fast as possible, ma'am. T-Bone says, just stay still for a bit. King of Giants gets there and hits T-Bone. He says, mother now. She activates the outer barrier. Mira member says, slay all the giants and bring down the fortress. Everyone suddenly is unable to move. Giant says, mother has blessed us again with her divine love. Attack. We see Jinhyuk, he says, the inner barrier is gone. That must mean she reactivated it the moment Agrichan got here. But changing the barriers consumes a lot of energy. She won't be able to reactivate the inner barrier for a while. Is she that confident in Agrichan? Does she really think he can win against me without the inner barrier? He activates Eye of Gluttony. We see the full detail of Agrichan. Age, 133 years. Level, 80. STR, 30. DX, 48. STA, 75. Magic, 7. Stat points possessed, 0. Skills. He has many skills. Description. Orichan believes that Yggdrasil's giants should dominate the world. If you promise him the continuation of his kind, the possibility of a special reward dropping will be increased. Copy conditions. Giants worship strength and physical allure. Overpower him without using a weapon. You will then be able to copy one of his skills. T-Bone says, Master, I will avenge. Jinhyuk says, no. He's mine, T-Bone. Someone says, Miram and the Empire have both entered the gates. It seems like they're being overwhelmed by the barrier. We see some masked men doing something. Someone asks a masked man, how are the ritual preparations going? He replies, we're finished here. The secret room on the 15th floor is not open yet. However, all 4 holy relics from the 21st floor are here with me. That person is a demonic human, he says. It's a shame that we had to change the plan, but there isn't anything we can do about that. Masked Man asks him, what shall we do about the giant's fortress? He replies, leave it be. It will be meaningless in the end. regardless of whoever takes the fortress. The 14th part of the solo max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my channel members for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the 14th part of the solo max level newbie. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that when the giant says, "Those stupid humans, they could never break down the barrier Mother had made." Giant says, "Idiots. Real idiots." Other giant hits him and says, "Go make your rounds instead of slacking off here." He says, "He's always so harsh with me. There's nothing to keep an eye out for anyway." T-Bone is sneaking in. Giant sees him. And Jin-hyuk also gets there. T-Bone says, "Master, we've been caught." System says, "Resisting the barrier." He says, "All right, I was looking for one of them anyway." Giant says, "What?" Someone says, "Miram at the east. The Empire in the west. I can feel them knocking at my barrier." She says, "They continue to struggle with my barrier." Tree of Life Yggdrasil. A giant says, "Dear Yggdrasil, please do not worry. No one will be able to approach your barriers. And even if they do somehow succeed, I am the king of them. Boss of the 21st floor Agrichan, king of the giants." King says, "Children of Yggdrasil, the inferior humans are currently attacking us in hopes of taking our mother away from us." How sorrowful is that? That is right. Our future is under threat. But if we, of the great blood, are all to rise up against them, we are bound to succeed. I shall ask again, my comrades, are you ready to charge into battle? A female giant says, "Your Majesty, is there really a chance of winning?" King says, "No, the enemies can do nothing but look us down and most of us will end up starving to death. But it doesn't matter. As long as Mother lives, we will survive." Yggdrasil says, "Child, why are you here?" Everyone ventured outside to protect. Jin-hyuk says, "I finally got through the barrier." "Hey, you don't actually believe that your barrier's invincible, did you?" She thinks, "Only the giants can enter here." Did he use that child as his key to get in? Even then, for a mere human to withstand the exterior barrier. System says, "The Tree of Life is activating summon. My soldiers of paradise lost. A human dares to enter my paradise lost without permission. Make him pay for this impudence." Jin-hyuk thinks Yggdrasil keeps up 2 layers of very powerful barriers. It takes a lot of power to keep both up, so she won't be able to upkeep both barriers while she activates another skill. The reason the 2 barriers are so strong is if the exterior one is broken, she can activate the interior one for a double barrier. But that also means that when there is threat acting upon both barriers, Jin-hyuk activates the element of fire. He thinks she has to deactivate one of them. He says, "Make your choice, Yggdrasil." Jin-hyuk says, "Will you let the fortress walls down?" Jin-hyuk says, "Or will you die by my hand here?" She thinks, who is this insane human? She says, "The Holy Empire underground graveyard catacombs. Twins are fighting," she says. "I thought this was the Holy Empire? Why are there so many undeads?" "I don't know. At least it's keeping us busy." The corpses of the holy knights buried here became undead soldiers. This is definitely not normal. Jin-hyuk receives the call from Teresa. She says, "As you said, there are some irregularities." She says, "Jin-hyuk, are you okay?" He says, "I'm okay. You can keep talking." She says, "Undead soldiers are appearing in the catacombs of the Holy Empire. It's as if the divine power that had been protecting this place is gone." Jin-hyuk says, "Get rid of all of the undead there and summon all of the holy knights. The demonic humans have already passed through the catacombs. They're faster than I imagined." The video call ends. One of the twins says, "Are you good?" What did he say? She thinks if Jin-hyuk reacted like that, it must mean that something really bad is happening. One of the undead attack him from behind. She grabs it from its neck and she says, "Change of plans. I'm going to absorb all of the demonic energy here. All of you, get out." Tree of Life is fighting against Jin-hyuk. She thinks this invader baster is strong. The Tree of Life insect soldiers won't do. Agrichan, there is an invader in Paradise Lost. Come to me. If I don't turn on the inner barrier, my white jade might be in danger. King thinks, white jade. The essence of holding a mother's power. We cannot have that taken away. But if Mother deactivates the barrier here, the Empire and Murim bastards will all come crowding in. He says, I will try to resolve this, Mother. East of the Giants' Fortress Murim Force. Third group charge. I don't want to die. They are able to get in and says, wait, what? Nothing happened. I think the barrier is gone. I don't know what happened. But it seems like this is our chance. Show what you've learned. Chun rushed inside really fast, they say, Sword Saint. Chun Yu-sung. Murim Forces says, charge forward. The barrier is done. Giants are really surprised and says, I can't believe it. Mother's barrier is down. Chun Yu-sung gets inside and activates the soul-chasing sword. He attacks a lot of giants at once. Beck gets there and says, giants are known to withstand even the Aura Blade, but you did it pretty easily. You've improved quite a bit. Sword Saint. He thinks the castle walls should be taken over pretty quickly since the barrier is down. I assume it's the same for the Empire's side too. It can't be a coincidence that the barrier is gone. It's definitely him who did this. What the hell are you doing in there? Kong Jinhyuk. Yggdrasil activates the inner barrier. System says, gravity's effects will be increased tenfold. The coefficient of mana will be increased 4 times. Efficiency of movement will be decreased by 80%. The sense will be distorted. Stamina will decrease by 3 per second. Jinhyuk thinks, even my barrier can't nullify all these curses. In the end, T-Bone says, Master. Jinhyuk says, it's okay. He says, Yggdrasil, do you really think you can stop with just this? She says, you may be strong, but this is my territory. Unless you are a child born with the blessing of my white jade, you cannot survive this. Jinhyuk says, I already had an idea that your inner barrier's really strong. But now that you've activated this to protect yourself, I'm sure you children are being massacred outside. Are you fine with that? She says, it hurts hard, but I have no other choice. It'll be worth it if I can eliminate you. Jinhyuk smiles and says, is that so? You said that no living creature can survive here unless they're your child. Are you sure about that? She says, I am the tree of life, Yggdrasil. All life within my territory falls under my authority. I like that answer. Jinhyuk activates Judgment of Anubis. System says, reduces the subject's state by 50% and restricts their usage of skills and unique ability for 1 minute. She thinks, what? My power suddenly. He says, a living being can never be free from you curses. That's why I brought him. Since he's already dead. System says, choosing T-Bone as the fighter. T-Bone is now a Grand Death Knight. T-Bone says, I can feel the power surging through me, Master. He says, T-Bone. Her body holds this thing called the White Jade. He says, yes. Jinhyuk says, what do you mean, yes? Go get it. T-Bone attacks her. She says, stop that thing. The curse won't work. He knew this would happen. T-Bone easily destroys her and grabs the White Jade. He says, I'll be as fast as possible, ma'am. T-Bone says, just stay still for a bit. King of Giants gets there and hits T-Bone. He says, Mother now. She activates the outer barrier. Murim member says, slay all the giants and bring down the fortress. Everyone suddenly is unable to move. Giant says, Mother has blessed us again with her divine love. Attack. We see Jinhyuk, he says, the inner barrier is gone. That must mean she reactivated it the moment Agrichan got here. But changing the barriers consumes a lot of energy. She won't be able to reactivate the inner barrier for a while. Is she that confident in Agrichan? Does she really think he can win against me without the inner barrier? He activates Eye of Gluttony. We see the full detail of Agrichan. Age, 133 years. Level, 80. STR, 30. DX, 48. STA, 75. Magic, 7. Stat points possessed, 0. Skills. He has many skills. Description. Orichan believes that Yggdrasil's giants should dominate the world. If you promise him the continuation of his kind, the possibility of a special reward dropping will be increased. Copy conditions. Giants worship strength and physical allure. Overpower him without using a weapon. You will then be able to copy one of his skills. T-Bone says, Master, I will avenge. Jinhyuk says, no. He's mine, T-Bone. Someone says, Murim and the Empire have both entered the gates. It seems like they're being overwhelmed by the barrier. We see some masked men doing something. Someone asks a masked man, how are the ritual preparations going? He replies, "We're finished here. The secret room on the 15th floor is not open yet. However, all 4 holy relics from the 21st floor are here with me. That person is a demonic human," he says. "It's a shame that we had to change the plan, but there isn't anything we can do about that." Maskman asks him, "What shall we do about the giant's fortress?" He replies, "Leave it be. It will be meaningless in the end, regardless of whoever takes the fortress." The 14th part of the solo max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my channel members for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the 15th part of the solo max level newbie. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that one of the demonic humans says, "Those idiots. They don't even know what's going on. You should all look forward to it. A very fun festival is about to begin." One of them dies. They say, "Who is it?" "There are some undead monsters." Wu Lian says, "It's just as the liege said. There are a bunch of garbage piled here." She calls the Shadow Squad. She says, "Carry out the liege's orders." Shadow Squad starts to kill them and says, "Yes, sir." Giant King says, "A human like you dare to put a hand on Mother? How arrogant. This is a sacred ground, only meant for Mother and her children." He uses the giant's ultimate strike. Jinhyuk dodges the attack. He says, "You keep saying Mother this, Mother that. I don't care about your family role-playing." Jinhyuk punches him. He activates Colossus' ultimate strike. Giant King blocks the attack. Jinhyuk says, "Just one attack isn't going to do it." Jinhyuk again uses the giant's ultimate strike. He uses it again and again. King Giant thinks, "This human. He's strong." He swings his sword and says, "I admit that you're no ordinary human. But what about your friends out there? They're probably being massacred by now because of the barrier's effects. Are you sure it's fine to leave them alone like that?" Jinhyuk smiles and says, "Geez, you're worrying about my friends now? If they can't even withstand that much, then they shouldn't be my friends." Jinhyuk activates Dark Heavenly Demon Emperor Arts and says, "So worry about yourself instead." Giant coughs out blood and thinks, "He punched me through my defense? Is this the Murim Bastard's technique?" T-Bone attacks Yggdrasil. She says, "Abrichan." T-Bone says, "Oops. Excuse me. Hey, I have to take that thing inside you." Jinhyuk smiles and thinks, there are 2 ways to clear the 21st floor. First is to take Yggdrasil's White Jade, and the second is to bring down the boss who has been chosen by the White Jade. Jinhyuk gets really excited and says, "Now, what will you do?" Giant thinks, all of Mother's insect soldiers will get wiped out soon. The White Jade is in danger. "Mother, I will use that, so please be careful." Giant puts the sword in the ground. Jinhyuk smiles. Giant says, Abrichan, will show you how I was able to rise as the king of the giants, despite my small stature." He activates Berserker. System says, for 60 minutes, Agrichan's attack power, speed, and movement speed will be increased 30%. Yggdrasil surrounds herself with insects and says, "Soldiers, protect me." T-Bone says, "Master, the tree is acting weird." King gets ready to use a really strong attack. He uses a Rage Cyclone. Jinhyuk uses Moon Hiding Nails. T-Bone is really scared and says, "Master." Jinhyuk says, "You're really strong." King screams. Jinhyuk says, "You've completely lost your reason." Jinhyuk says, "All right. That makes it more fun." Jinhyuk uses Fusion on Colossus' Ultimate Strike and Moon Hiding Nails. Jinhyuk activates a 3-star barrier confinement of reality, and additionally fuse White Beast. System says, there is a risk of karma due to forced attempts at copying a higher being. Mana is running rampant. King attacked Jinhyuk with a really strong sword swing. Jinhyuk grabs the sword really easily. He activates Moon Imprints. His hands are blue and yellow nails, yellow lines covering his hand and arm. System says, Toongrave's right arm has successfully been created one. Due to the current level and stats, only 10% of the skill's full power can be activated. Strength stat has increased by 500%. Duration, 3 minutes 30 seconds. Jinhyuk smiles and says, "I knew these things would come in handy someday." Yggdrasil is really surprised to see his power and thinks, "I can't believe it. This aura is that of a higher floor being. How is it that a mere human can exude such an aura?" Jinhyuk says, What a shame. Jin-hyuk throws the giant king and says, since you're the boss of this floor, I'll be nice and give you a fancy death. Everyone outside is really surprised. After that, we see that a really big punch hits the giant king. The giant king goes flying. Shun is really surprised. Jin-hyuk goes jumping really fast. Jin-hyuk appears right in front of the giant king really quickly. He uses Colossus Soldier. Tomb Grave. Jin-hyuk hits him with a lot of punches with monstrous strength. Overkill. After that, we see that Beak is really surprised. Alice sees that and says, this bastard. There are a lot of fireworks. She says, he loves to be a real show-off sometimes. Jin-hyuk hits the giant king with another really big punch. There a really big explosion happens. Shun is really surprised and thinks, Kong Jin-hyuk, what have you done? There is a big hole in the ground system, says. Berserk is being undone. King coughs out blood and says, what a one-sided fight. I'm almost ashamed to call myself the king. Jin-hyuk gets there, King says. You win. System says, you have defeated the 21st floor boss Ogrichin. Copy condition completely overpower Ogrichin. You have fulfilled the condition. You have successfully copied Berserk. Yggdrasil says, I wanted to make a paradise where no one could hurt my family. But this is how it ends. I assume you will kill all of my remaining children and use this as your base for the 21st floor conquest. I won't resist anymore. Please make it quick. Empire Soldier says, our mercenary has brought down the owner of the fortress. It's our victory. He thinks this fortress is infamous for being impregnable, but he took over the fortress on his own. I never expected this mercenary soldier to be this great. The Empire's mercenary soldier has subjugated the fortress. The fortress is now ours. Mura members says, we need to attack now, but we need time to recuperate. Shun says, you idiots. Jumping to conclusions. There's no way that bastard would do something that benefits others. Jin-hyuk says, all of you get out. The giant's fortress is mine. System says, the giant's fortress is now under the veteran company's possession. The Empire army is surprised. Jin-hyuk says, what are you staring at me like that for? Get out if you don't want to die. Troll King says, I'm now going to begin fixing up that rotten mind of yours. Repeat squatting up and down 20 times. As you go down, shout a clear. When you come up, yell, mind. I brought in Calical to make the giants cooperate. Calical, the Frost Blade tribe chief, knew how to train the minds of warriors. Thanks to the giants and Yggdrasil, we were able to reconstruct the fortress quickly. When I promised not to kill the giants and now to take away her white jade. Yggdrasil responded very cooperatively. Jin-hyuk says, nice. Coin earnings, calculated 32,554,632. He got 8 billion views. Jin-hyuk says, that's bringing in a lot of views. The video of the 21st floor brought in a massive amount of coins, making many great guilds feel that their positions of power were in danger. It brought in anxiety, that they can no longer be on top of everyone, just became one person. Anyway, the item Ogrichin dropped. Berserk Warrior's Greatsword. It's absolutely humongous. How am I even going to carry this around? He throws it away and says, you can use it for training T-Bone. Andrea gets there and says, you can carry the giant's greatsword that easily? You're amazing. Jin-hyuk says, Andrea, must have been difficult getting here. She says, not even it's my duty to respond to my master's summons. Jin-hyuk thinks, now that Andrea's here. And Alice is ready too. We just need to wait for Teresa to finish preparing for things. Then we'll be able to take control of the situation without any problems. Wu Liang gets there and says, my liege, I've delivered your message to the Empire and the Murim forces. Jin-hyuk says, good work. Wu Liang, how did they react? Wu Liang says, if you want to negotiate over the use of the fortress, then send a delegation to the fortress tomorrow. The Empire seems to think that they've been betrayed. Count Jovio is enraged. And as for the Murim, Shun Yusung looked very disgusted when he heard that he needed to be present at the negotiation. Jin-hyuk says, disgusted? That's funny. Jin-hyuk says that stalker bastards need to be taught a lesson. How dare he betray me and side with the Murim? Wu Liang thinks, I can never get used to that face. Wu Liang says, and one more thing. This is a relic we took from the demonic humans. We put it in the storage as you ordered. I'm not sure why you would want to keep such an ominous item. My liege. Jin-hyuk says, don't try to understand me. Sometimes knowledge makes things more complicated. Wu Liang says, but. Jin-hyuk says, no buts. I told you to just trust me. Good work. Wu Liang says, thank you, my liege. Alice says, Now that we've taken over the fortress, can we relax a bit? Andrea says, what about our training? I thought that was why I'm here. Jin-hyuk says, it's now over just because we took over this place. We're going to use this as our base to bring in people onto our side. But in order to do that, we need to protect this fortress. Alice says, what? Do you think that the Murim or the Empire guys are going to try to attack? After seeing how you took down this place on your own? Jin-hyuk says, I'm not talking about the residents of the 21st floor. There are much more dangerous beings. We'll be pretty busy tomorrow, trying to protect this place. So, let's reassess your skills beforehand. Jin-hyuk says, it won't be fun to just do that on its own, so how about a bet? I'll grant any one wish of the person who catches me within 5 minutes. Alice says, a bet? Andrea says, a wish? Jin-hyuk says, but if you can't catch me within 5 minutes, I'm going to choose your outfit for tomorrow. Alice and Andrea looks toward each other and smiles. Jin-hyuk says, ready? Timer gets activated. They all jump toward Jin-hyuk. Jin-hyuk uses the Sword Demon King's steps. After that we see, the next morning, Murim and Empire member get there. Jin-hyuk says, you're right on time. Sorry to say we don't have any furniture our size yet. You can just sit on the floor if you wish. Would that hurt your pride? Then do whatever you want. Chun thinks, what is this situation? Is he kidding right now? Why are they all dressed like that? Wu Liang is dressed like a mummy. Jin-hyuk has a knife through his head. Andrea is a Catwoman. Alice is Frankenstein. Jin-hyuk says, by the way, I made this chair myself. Don't be mad. Then let's begin. The bidding for the fortress usage license. Andrea says, I'm a bit embarrassed, but I don't hate it. The 15th part of the Solo Max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the 16th part of the Solo Max level newbie. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that activating Sword Demon King's steps. Jin-hyuk ran past everyone. Floor 5 boss thinks, I thought I had gotten faster. Isn't he way too fast? They are wearing costumes. Floor 5 boss thinks, I'm embarrassed. I would have caught him if I had all of my power back. Wu Liang is wearing a mummy costume and thinks, Liege's strange hobby. T-Bone thinks, I feel like I'm the only one who hasn't changed. Beck thinks, what? Do foreigners like this stuff? Chun Yuzong thinks, that insane bastard. Jin-hyuk says, anyway, as you all know, this place is the only supply base and fortress fit for an army on the 21st floor. In other words, this is the most important location on the 21st floor for the war. Now, I'll hear what you're all willing to do in order to be allowed to use this fortress. Jovio says, hey, this is way different from what you promised. You're a mercenary soldier the Empire hired. Am I wrong? Why must we lower ourselves to the same position as the Murim bastards? Wu Liang gets ready to fight. Jin-hyuk stops Wu Liang. Javier says, I'm Supreme Commander of the Empire. I cannot accept this kind of treatment. Swordmaster says, Count Jovier, stop. Jin-hyuk swings a giant sword. Jin-hyuk says, Jovier, you don't seem to be aware of the situation you're in. Do you really not understand? Why the Empire's Swordmaster and Murim's expert martial artists both are silently listening? It's because I have the upper hand in this situation. Swordmaster says, Player Kong Jin-hyuk, please forgive us. The Count is not trained enough to be able to sense the opponent's strength. Murim says, we are willing to negotiate. What is it that you want? Coins? Magic crystals? Jin-hyuk says, Namging Tian, I didn't expect you to come here. You've got quite the thick skin. All those people wouldn't have died if you were there during the Beijing outbreak. Has your life been any better ever since you betrayed humanity to live in the tower? Namgung gets really angry. Beck says, do not fall for it. We need this place. Jin-hyuk says, have you guys ever done something like this before? You don't even know the basics. Jin-hyuk says, you're supposed to come up with the conditions, not me. Come back tomorrow with some nice enough conditions that I might fall for. Jovio says, what kind of nonsense? He's just telling us to come bearing gifts, basically. Swordmaster thinks, the situation is rather sudden, but I'm surprised. Not only did he bring down the fortress all on his own, He also took the ownership of the fortress, stopping the war between Murim and the Empire. Had the fortress gone into the hands of Binch Talon, I'm sure there would have been a revolution. It seems that just one person can really change the fate of the Empire. Wu Liang calls Chun Yusung. Tree of Life says, Master, did the negotiations go smoothly? Jin Hyuk says, well, somewhat. I stalled time. Tree of Life says, how amazing. Jin Hyuk says, you said you had something to show me? We see some baby giants wrapped in leaves. Jin Hyuk says, this is. Tree of Life says, the next generation's children whom I've cultivated with the white jade. I'm sure you're aware, but until now, all residents of the tower have tried to steal my white jade, or approached me with the intention of using me and the fortress for their own selfish wars. But I was able to tolerate it. I knew that that was my fate. I decided that I won't fight back anymore. In the moment I accepted my fate, you did not destroy me as I expected. Instead, you gave me a new opportunity. I swear on the name of the Tree of Life that I will raise these children for your sake. Let's live a different life this time. Agrichan. Jin Hyuk thinks, that's a bit much. Jin Hyuk says, all right. He thinks, anyway, I didn't know that the white jade had such an ability. I guess this wasn't just for raiding then. It's a good thing I made the decision not to kill her. I'll raise them into my own little army. Wu Liang gets there and says, my liege, I brought the Sword Saint. He says, no one should bother you here. Please feel free to talk. Chun says, what do you want? Jin Hyuk says, what do you mean what do I want? Isn't it obvious? Jin Hyuk says, I need to know why you decided to side with Murim, the very guys who cornered Teresa into corruption. Chun says, Murim brought on the deaths of countless people. But soul-chasing Seong, the creator of my soul-chasing sword, was there. I had no choice but to get them to check whether I really have the chance of winning against you. Jin Hyuk thinks, so he ends up meeting the newly transformed soul-chasing Seong for fulfilling the hidden requirement. Chun Yusung smiles and says, all right. I guess this is for the better. I did it to be able to fight you again anyway. I'll show you right here, right now. The secret technique that I learned by betraying you. Jin Hyuk says, all right. Let's see how great this technique of yours is that you kissed Murims for it. Stalker. Jin Hyuk brings out twin dragon swords. Chun activates battlefield selection. System says, Chun Yusung's mind realm is being manifested. A battlefield is being manifested. Jin Hyuk thinks, this place is the training hall that this stalker always chooses for our fight. They both starts to fight. Jin Hyuk says, you don't ever change. Chun Yusung. He activates a Song of Swords. Everything around them gets destroyed. Jin Hyuk thinks, the force of his Song of Swords has gotten much stronger. Chun Yusung says, why aren't you attacking at all? Are you still underestimating me? Chun Yusung uses Soul-Chasing Sword Art's 10th form. He says, I won't forgive you, and uses Heavenly Thunder Berserk Slash. Jin Hyuk thinks, Chun Yusung, this bastard. Jin Hyuk gets excited and thinks, not bad. Chun Yusung hits him with a really powerful attack. Jin Hyuk says, the Heavenly Thunder Berserk Slash is a very good skill, but it has the downside of being predictable if you can't master it beyond 6 stars. You should just focus on raising your proficiency rather than. Chun Yusung attacks him and says, shut up. Jin Hyuk easily dodges his attack and says, hey, I just dodged the strongest skill you have. Just surrender. Chun Yusung keeps attacking him and says, I've trained my swordsmanship 1,000 no tens of thousand of times. I gave my everything to try and surpass you. So, why do I lose every single time? Chun Yusung starts to cry and says, I really don't know what I should do anymore. Jin Hyuk says, you're not weak, Chun Yusung. To be honest, I didn't expect you to use the Soul-Chasing Sword's 10th form already. You're talented. You're definitely skilled. The reason you keep losing to me is because you're too impatient. If you chase after someone with the mindset that everything will be ruined if you don't catch up to them, you will never catch up to that person. So, have more patience. I'm down to fight you anytime. Chun Yusung thinks, right? I've always wanted to defeat him every time I saw him. But the moments when I actually learned something were all when I had forgotten about catching up to him. In the end, it was my own self who was holding me back. Jin Hyuk says, hey, are you don't crying? Chun punches the ground and says, don't be ridiculous. But I do appreciate what you said. I thought you were a devil's incarnation, but I guess you still have that good side within you. Thanks. Jin Hyuk thinks, well, moments like this aren't too bad. Although it was a bit cringy. Chun Yusung uses the Eye of Gluttony and thinks, isn't that enough to fulfill the requirement? You have fulfilled the copy conditions. All right. Systems say, copy condition, Chun Yu-sung has lived his entire life trying to defeat you. If you make him forget his goal and make him feel touched, you will be allowed to copy one of his skills. System says, addition is requested by a higher divinity. If you make the sword saint put on a unique costume, you will be allowed to copy one of the skills the sword saint will earn in the future. Jin-hyuk thinks, one more? Jin-hyuk calls Chun. Jin-hyuk says, it is true that you betrayed me. So you'll need to pay the price, don't you think? After that we see at the Mirim's residence. Beek says, you're back. They were really surprised to see him. Chun Yu-sung is wearing a maid costume. Beck says, what's with your outfit? System says, maid outfit of repentance, a high-quality outfit imbued with the emotion of repentance. You cannot take it off unless an enemy attacks you and destroys the outfit. Chun Yu-sung is really angry and says, do not say anything. I have my reasons. Beck thinks, well, a hobby like that is something I can work with. After that we see in cave somewhere. Some demonic humans are praying to the Demon King. One of them says, the Demon King could have descended upon us. Only if we had succeeded in getting information from Kong Jin-hyuk about the 12th floor. What a shame. I'm not blaming you or anything, of course. This much should be more than enough for us to destroy the 21st floor. System says, you have successfully been connected to the demon realm. He has finally responded. System says, you need an offering to act as a vessel for connection between the two realms. The sacrificial ritual will begin soon. Demonic human says, sir, this is... Someone says, again, this bastard, he's sacrificing us. Gawain says, dear blood relatives of the great demon king god, please, take this entire place as yours. The path to open the gate to the demon realm is searching for a key. Pilgrim's crown thorn is reacting to the call. After that we see at Fortress a lot of stuff starts to happen. They say, what is this? An ambush? A rupture appears in the middle of the fortress. System says, the Pilgrim's crown thorn is now the vessel the rupture is opening. Two really big hands appear. Swordmaster and Beck are really surprised. Beck thinks, what is this insane demon chi? Alarm says, notifying all people within the fortress. A demon has appeared within the fortress. If you want to live, you should either run with all you've got, or fight with all you've got. Jin-hyuk says, that's it. All the soldiers says, it's in the west. Prepare for battle. The Empire must defend the fortress. We cannot let it be destroyed. T-Bone says, selling 5-star flame resistance potions. One of the soldiers says, what's this little skeleton doing over? Is this the fortress owner's pet? Tree of Life is right in front of the demon ready to fight. Jin-hyuk says, Yggdrasil, listen closely. High-ranking demons are going to be summoned here soon. I want you to bring the barrier back up. Focus it on the west. She activates the 3-star heat diminishing barrier, and also a 4-star frost barrier. She activates the 3-star gravity force barrier, and a 4-star movement restriction barrier. 6-star centralization barrier. All barriers' effects will be concentrated on a chosen region. Pilgrim's Crown Thorn says, that's right. Struggle with all you have. Pilgrim's Crown Thorn is resisting the barrier. Barriers have no effect on him. Pilgrim's Crown Thorn says, you struggle, and I will kill. The 16th part of the solo max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the 17th part of the solo max level newbie. If you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. At the beginning of this part, we see that a lot of system messages appear saying, resisting the barrier. Demon says, I can feel the presence of my brothers. After that, we see at Murim. System says, the holy relic, Trader's silver coins, is reacting. Ice Spirit Hell's Demon Magdra appears there. And at the Holy Empire, System says, the holy relic, stake covered in holy blood, is reacting. Avicii's demon Ishelkalim appears there. Holy Empire people says, a demon? Twins appears there and says, that might be a bit dangerous. But it's just one. Should be doable, don't you think? Teresa thinks, just looking at the demon makes my skin feel like it's about to rip. That's not a demon 2S classes can take on. Holy Knight says, you seem worried, child. But what is there to worry about? When we are this prepared, my sisters of light, Let us pray. May the goddess of light's blessing be with you. Attack. Town is on fire. They thinks, just his arrival alone started all this fire. Is this what a demon on the higher floor is like? Tree Loft Life thinks, if it weren't for the Tree of Life's barriers, this entire place would have been razed to the ground right now. More importantly, T-Bone says, if you buy a top-tier heat resistance potion now, it'll only cost you 3,999 coins. They thinks, why does it feel like that skeleton knew that this was going to happen? That man, Jin Hyuk, is walking with Chun Yu-sung. Chun Yu-sung is still wearing a maid dress. Everyone sees him says, it's the fortress owner and a maid? Or rather, swole maid. Grandmaster is really surprised and thinks, what is he thinking? This isn't the situation for jokes. No, Kong Jin Hyuk is a very shrewd man. I'm sure he's hiding some tremendous plan. He can't hide it from me. Jin Hyuk says that the outfit was purely for your embarrassment, but it seems like the people like it. Chun says, I don't care if you want to make a joke out of me. Just tell me the plan. Jin Hyuk thinks, I did expect a demon to be summoned since I saw the ritual used on the pilgrim's crown thorn, but I didn't expect it to be a higher floor demon, Anthrax. It's surprising that the demonic humans had this much intel. They're better than I anticipated. Jin Hyuk says, look over there. You see the portal behind that skeleton? That's connected to the demon realm. It's how he's getting his infinite mana. As long as that stays open, our chance of winning against him is basically zero. If it weren't for Yggdrasil's barriers, this place would already be an ocean of flames. But even Yggdrasil won't be able to hold off that demon forever. Once Yggdrasil gets too tired, us two will have to hold him off. That is, until the group I sent to destroy the portal succeeds. Alice says, it seems like it started. Alice and Andrea are going to destroy the portal. Andrea says, the demons invaded just like the master predicted. Will we be able to find the ritual for the portal in this large place? The 21st floor is large. Yeah. Alice says, that's why we'll have to trust his sense of smell. Demon is blowing up everything. System says, Anthrax is calling in his subordinates. A lot of undead demons come out of the ground. Jin Hyuk says, now, everyone, attention. I have an announcement to make. We will now begin the demon minion raid. The force with the highest contribution rate will earn additional points in the bid. You don't want the fortress to fall, do you? Why don't you all work together for once? Murim Warrior says, what the hell are you talking about? Why should we protect your fortress? Swordmaster says, charge. You're all losing vacation privileges if our contribution rate is lower than the Murim bastards. For the Empire, Beck says, we can't lose to them. Show them the power of the Murim Alliance. They says, no way. You idiots, stop. You're being manipulated. They thinks, that's right. Forget that you're all enemies for now and fight alongside each other. The demons you kill after having been buffed by Yggdrasil and my potions. System says, EXP is being shared. Jin Hyuk thinks, will all come to me in the form of EXP. Chun starts to run. Jin Hyuk says, hey, where are you going? We don't need to do anything yet. If you're gonna go, take a potion at least. EXP, I mean, you'll get burned if you don't. Chun Yusung starts to fight. Demons uses fire attack. System says, activating the soul-chasing sword. Chun's dress gets destroyed. System says, the maid outfit of repentance has been destroyed. Chun smiles. Chun wears clothes. Jin Hyuk says, you were really determined, huh? You went through that yourself in the maid uniform? System says, flame resistance stat has increased 20%. Chun says, I wore it for long enough. And this has better defense stats. Jin Hyuk says, yeah, do what you want. Jin Hyuk thinks, I already took all the pictures. He says, I think we're gonna have to step in pretty soon. 21st floor Anhui province. One of them says, Namgung Tion, come back. A higher floor demon is destroying everything here. They say, shut up. I can't come back right now. She says, is there a higher floor demon in the fortress too? He says, yes. There are also demons here that I need to take care of. What? Kong Jin Hyuk? Are you telling me to be careful of some small nation players? Me? The very person chosen by Murim? Ridiculous. Why does everyone act like he's so special? Jinhyuk activate Eye of Gluttony. You can only open the copy conditions due to the immense power gap. Copy condition. The demon Anthrax is a blood relative of the great demon Gunthafer. If you can survive Anthrad's attack head-on, you will be allowed to copy one of his skills. Jinhyuk thinks, shit, if I take one of his attacks head-on in this state, I don't think I'll even have a hair follicle left. I'll have to close the portal first and weaken him as much as I can before trying that out. Tree of Life says, Master, I can't stop them anymore. System says, 4-star movement restriction barrier has been destroyed. Jinhyuk says, good work, Yggdrasil. Let's go, Chun Yusung. They says, fall back everyone. You'll die if you get swept up in that.
Jinhyuk activate Glacier Formation.
Glacier. Wait. Chun uses soul-chasing sword dance. Demon is tied with ice chains. Pitiful. Demon says, I'll burn you all. Chun thinks, damn it. I can't dodge this one. An old man appears and says, we're the Shadow Squad. He says, we're temporarily serving Master Kong Jinhyuk. Jinhyuk says, rescue people in need of help once things start getting messy. Whether they're from the Empire or Murim. He thinks, what do you mean, sorry? Just do as I say. Or do you want Alice to beat you up again? Yes, sir. Tree of Life says, no, that's where my children are. Jinhyuk says, activating a Grave of Swords. Jinhyuk thinks, the aura blade falls too short in capacity for this. Jinhyuk says, Salamander. Salamander appears and says, yes, sir. Fire Spirit Punch. Jinhyuk says, that's hot. System says, you have fulfilled the copy condition. You may copy one of Anthrax's skills. Jinhyuk thinks, I'll let the Stalker keep Anthrad occupied for now, while I recover my mana. Bloodthirst. Namgung Tion. Azure Sky Flying Swallow Blade. Jinhyuk says, this bastard. Jinhyuk uses the Shield of Perseus. Beck says, what are you doing, Namgung Tion? You're going to lose us the bidding rights. Shut up. Don't you get that this is all just a joke to him? This is our only chance while he's still weak from the demon's attack. The Elven Forest, Beijing Outbreak. The battle to choose forces. And now, this giant's fortress raid. He's always done something ridiculous to manipulate the situation to his advantage. I have finally realized that the demon that needs to die is you. He attacks Kong Jinhyuk. Young stops him and says, how dare you try to harm the liege in a situation like this? Have you lost your mind? He says, you must be a member of the demonic cult, seeing as you use shadow arts. Have you also been brainwashed by this bastard? More. I need to kill him right now. It's certain that he was the one that summoned this demon too. I'm sure you've definitely doubted him before. Think. Wuliang says, how do you know all that, my liege? All the unique synthesis methods, and what will happen in the future. Jinhyuk thinks, I can't tell you right now, but I will tell you everything when the time comes. You're my subordinate, after all. Wuliang. Wuliang says, I am his sword. A sword does not doubt his master. The 17th part of the Solo Max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the 18th part of the Solo Max level newbie. Subscribe to my second channel. Link is in the description. At the beginning of this part we see that Mgung says, what? His sword? Ridiculous. Mgung attacks Wolyung and says, then I'll kill you first. They both start to fight. Beck sees that and thinks, Namgung trains that foolish outsider. I knew that he's always hated Kong Jinhyuk, but to attack the very person who has the upper hand in the situation, he needs better critical thinking skills. Stomping hits her. It's T-Bone. He has poisonous needle in his hand. He says, you have some time, right? 1. Knockout poison needle. She says, feel faint. She falls. T-Bone grabs her and says, injured passing by. Excuse me. Jinhyuk sees Namgung and Wolyung fighting. He thinks, I didn't expect to see Namgung Tion here. It's good that Wuliang's here to take care of him, but the real problem hasn't been resolved yet. I've managed to block off Anthrax's attack once, but it takes way too much mana to do that again. I have no choice but to endure until the portal's closed. Alice appears there and says, the unpleasant results of necromancy. I hate this kind of stuff. You can take care of it. Andrea. She thinks, Master gifted me a new life. When I was about to be sacrificed by the heretics. This is my chance to repay him. She uses Fanatic's judgment. Alice sees her and thinks, she must be excited for her first real fight. She stands right in front of the magic circle that summoned the demons. She says, a summoning seal created from human sacrifice and holy relics. It's pretty complex. Well, for human standards, that is. She activates technique destruction. System says, the link to the demon realm has been disconnected. One of the demons says, the connection's been cut, but it does not matter. Your loss is already decided. Twins are fighting against that demon. They say, I don't think I can fight anymore. Jinhyuk might scold us for dying. Demon swings his weapon with full power. Archbishop says, idiot. You can't get scolded if you're dead. She says, right? Archbishop activates the holy shield. Archbishop says, as if I would let Teresa's friends die. She screams and says, now, Teresa. Teresa appears above them. She uses Sacred Fall. Twin says, that was really cool. But he's completely fine. Didn't you say that we'd have a chance of winning once the portal closes? Teresa thinks, his mana source was cut off. He's still too strong. We'll all end up dead at this rate. Teresa says, Archbishop, I think we have no other choice. Archbishop says, you mean, no, child. I can understand since I know you, but there are other sisters here. If you use that power right now, your sisters will end up hating you. Teresa says, you wouldn't understand, but this is basically my homeland. I am willing to take on such a burden if it means I can protect this place. After that we see at Giant's Fortress, System says, the link of the demon realm has been disconnected. Demon gets smaller. Chun says, Kong Jinhyuk, what have you done? Jinhyuk says, seems like Alice succeeded. But we still need to be careful. Just because it's smaller doesn't mean it's weaker. Demon says, you bastards. You think you can win against me? Just because you succeeded in severing the connection to the demon realm? You're even more ignorant than I imagined. Demon activates Flame Helix. Jinhyuk uses the shield of Perseus. He shouts and says, White Serpent, take everyone and leave this place. Just the two of us will take it from here. He says, yes, sir. Demon appears right in front of Jinhyuk and Chun. Demon uses are really big and powerful fire attacks. Jinhyuk and Chun barely dodges the attack. Demon says, you managed to avoid my attack. Not bad. Let me ask you for a favor then. Don't die too quickly. It's been quite a while since I last fought in this form. Chun thinks he's just as powerful as earlier, but he's immensely faster now. Is there even any possibility of us winning against that high-floor demon? Jinhyuk says, you're doubting things right now, aren't you? You're worried that there is no way we can defeat that thing. Jinhyuk activates Grave Off Swords and says, watch closely. I'll teach you something. A high-skilled player manages to win. Teresa brings out Black Teresa. Jinhyuk gets ready to fight and says, no matter the situation they find themselves in, Teresa and Demon starts to fight. All the sisters says, this is an insult to all things holy. A sister blessed by the light. To be using corrupt powers. Archbishop says, we can discuss this later. I'm too tired right now from all the blood I've lost. They says, Archbishop. Demon says, you're obstructing me. Disappear from my sight. Demon uses a sealed coffin. A monster appears under Teresa. Demon uses Avicii's restraint technique. Twins cuts the monster and say, nope, she's ours. She smiles and says, I'm not going to save you guys if you get in my way. Twin says, then we'll just die. Wuliang and Namgung are fighting. Wuliang coughs out blood. Namgung says, foolish. You should have known, the moment we clashed our swords, that you cannot win against me. How is that you can continue fighting for Kong Jinhyuk, knowing that you cannot win against me no matter what? Wuliang says, his liege is definitely a unique individual. He has hobbies I cannot understand, and he finds joy in making fun of others. But when I stand beside him, I feel like he will lead us to victory. Chun gets really excited to see him. Wuliang says, no matter how strong the opponent may be, that is why I can continue to fight, despite how strong you are compared to me. Demon thinks it's not as risky fighting him, but this human, he's very closely avoiding my attacks and eating away at my mana little by little. Jinhyuk uses soul bloodsucking. You have permanently earned 0.3 mana stat as an effect of soul bloodsucking. Demon thinks, does he think that he can win against me if he continues to eat away at my mana? How unpleasant. Anthrad is activating the demon realm barrier. A mind realm is being created. Hell of eternal flames. Anthrad, were you overjoyed thinking that your attacks were working? System says, Anthrad's stats have increased by 20%. The demon's subordinates are rising. This realm was created by my own will. This is where you will die. Jinhyuk and Chun starts to kill the monster around them. Chun thinks, damn it. At this rate, Jinhyuk says, Chun Yusung, create your own mind realm using battlefield selection. I'll do the same. Then it's just collides with this realm, and I'll have wasted my mana. Jinhyuk says, just trust me. I have a plan. We can't win against him in this situation. We need to use the barrier he set up against him. Jinhyuk jumps and says, here I go. Chun says, he never explains anything, but I can't think of any other plan. Chun activates battlefield selection. Haven of Swords. The mind realms are colliding. Jinhyuk throw the swords around. System says, the mind realms are colliding. Demon thinks, he's using the sword manifested in the mind realm to strike the mana path of my barrier? Chun says, Kong Jinhyuk, wait. You do have a skill to create a mind realm, right? Jinhyuk says, of course. System says, copying Chun Yusung's skill. Copying battle selection. Remaining count for skill copying 1 out 2. Jinhyuk activates. Battle selection. System says, the mind realms are colliding. Demon says, the mind realm stability depends on how much understanding the user has about the world. You dare think you can surpass me in the stability of the mind realm, when I am a being who has lived on the higher floors for thousands of years. Jinhyuk smiles and thinks, a demon that lives on the mere 40th floor. Dare to bring up tower experience? I'll show you. How arrogant what you just said was. After that we see the demon that was fighting Teresa says, I didn't know a being who could render me this powerless existence in the middle floors. Amazing. The corruption of a Grail Knight. But something is wrong with your corruption. You must not exist. You have the power to shake the balance of the demon realm. Teresa says, who are you to say whether I can exist or not? Damn it. Stalling for time isn't working. Demon is about to attack her. Someone uses dark, heavenly demon emperor arts. One of the demon's arms blows up. He says, are you perhaps Miss Teresa? Should I guess? Kong Jinhyuk. Send you right? Heavenly Demon Emperor is there. The 18th part of the Solo Max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the 17th part of the Solo Max level newbie. If you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. At the beginning of this part, we see that a lot of system messages appear saying, resisting the barrier. Demon says, I can feel the presence of my brothers. After that, we see at Murim. System says, the holy relic, Trader's silver coins, is reacting. Ice Spirit Hell's Demon Magdra appears there. And at the Holy Empire, System says, the holy relic, stake covered in holy blood, is reacting. Avicii's demon Ishelkalim appears there. Holy Empire people says, a demon? Twins appears there and says, that might be a bit dangerous. But it's just one. Should be doable, don't you think? Teresa thinks, just looking at the demon makes my skin feel like it's about to rip. That's not a demon 2S classes can take on. Holy Knight says, you seem worried, child. But what is there to worry about? When we are this prepared, my sisters of light, let us pray. May the goddess of light's blessing be with you. Attack. Town is on fire. They thinks, Just his arrival alone started all this fire. Is this what a demon on the higher floor is like? Tree Loft Life thinks, if it weren't for the Tree of Life's barriers, this entire place would have been razed to the ground right now. More importantly, T-Bone says, if you buy a top-tier heat resistance potion now, it'll only cost you 3,999 coins. They thinks, why does it feel like that skeleton knew that this was going to happen? That man, Jin-hyuk, is walking with Chun Yu-sung. Chun Yu-sung is still wearing a maid dress. Everyone sees him says, it's the fortress owner and a maid? Or rather, swole maid. Grandmaster is really surprised and thinks, what is he thinking? This isn't the situation for jokes. No, Kong Jin-hyuk is a very shrewd man. I'm sure he's hiding some tremendous plan. He can't hide it from me. Jin-hyuk says that the outfit was purely for your embarrassment, but it seems like the people like it. Chun says, I don't care if you want to make a joke out of me. Just tell me the plan. Jin-hyuk thinks, I did expect a demon to be summoned since I saw the ritual used on the pilgrim's crown thorn, but I didn't expect it to be a higher floor demon, Anthrax. It's surprising that the demonic humans had this much intel. They're better than I anticipated. Jin-hyuk says, look over there. You see the portal behind that skeleton? That's connected to the demon realm. It's how he's getting his infinite mana. As long as that stays open, our chance of winning against him is basically zero. If it weren't for Yggdrasil's barriers, this place would already be an ocean of flames. But even Yggdrasil won't be able to hold off that demon forever. Once Yggdrasil gets too tired, us two will have to hold him off. That is, until the group I sent to destroy the portal succeeds. Alice says, it seems like it started. Alice and Andrea are going to destroy the portal. Andrea says, the demons invaded just like the master predicted. Will we be able to find the ritual for the portal in this large place? The 21st floor is large. Yeah. Alice says, that's why we'll have to trust his sense of smell. Demon is blowing up everything. System says, Anthrax is calling in his subordinates. A lot of undead demons come out of the ground. Jin-hyuk says, now, everyone, attention. I have an announcement to make. We will now begin the demon minion raid. The force with the highest contribution rate will earn additional points in the bid. You don't want the fortress to fall, do you? Why don't you all work together for once? Murim Warrior says, what the hell are you talking about? Why should we protect your fortress? Swordmaster says, charge. You're all losing vacation privileges if our contribution rate is lower than the Murim bastards. For the Empire, Beck says, we can't lose to them. Show them the power of the Murim Alliance. They says, no way. You idiots, stop. You're being manipulated. They thinks, that's right. Forget that you're all enemies for now and fight alongside each other. The demons you kill after having been buffed by Yggdrasil and my potions. System says, EXP is being shared. Jin-hyuk thinks, will all come to me in the form of EXP. Chun starts to run. Jin-hyuk says, hey, where are you going? We don't need to do anything yet. If you're gonna go, take a potion at least. EXP, I mean, you'll get burned if you don't. Chun Yu-sung starts to fight. Demons uses fire attack. System says, activating the soul-chasing sword. Chun's dress gets destroyed. System says, the maid outfit of repentance has been destroyed. Chun smiles. Chun wears clothes. Jin-hyuk says, you were really determined, huh? You went through that yourself in the maid uniform? System says, flame resistance stat has increased 20%. Chun says, I wore it for long enough. And this has better defense stats. Jin-hyuk says, yeah, do what you want. Jin-hyuk thinks, I already took all the pictures. He says, I think we're gonna have to step in pretty soon. 21st floor Anhua province. One of them says, Namgung Tion, come back. A higher floor demon is destroying everything here. They say, shut up. I can't come back right now. She says, is there a higher floor demon in the fortress too? He says, yes. There are also demons here that I need to take care of. What? Kong Jin-hyuk? Are you telling me to be careful of some small nation players? Me? The very person chosen by Murim? Ridiculous. Why does everyone act like he's so special? Jin-hyuk activate Eye of Gluttony. You can only open the copy conditions due to the immense power gap. Copy condition. The demon Anthrax is a blood relative of the great demon Gunthafer. If you can survive Anthrad's attack head-on, you will be allowed to copy one of his skills. Jinhyuk thinks, shit, if I take one of his attacks head-on in this state, I don't think I'll even have a hair follicle left. I'll have to close the portal first and weaken him as much as I can before trying that out. Tree of Life says, Master, I can't stop them anymore. System says, 4-star movement restriction barrier has been destroyed. Jinhyuk says, good work, Yggdrasil. Let's go, Chun Yusung. They says, fall back everyone. You'll die if you get swept up in that.
Jinhyuk activate glacier formation.
Glacier. Wait. Chun uses. Soul-chasing sword dance. Demon is tied with ice chains. Pitiful. Demon says, I'll burn you all. Chun thinks, damn it. I can't dodge this one. An old man appears and says, we're the Shadow Squad. He says, we're temporarily serving Master Kong Jinhyuk. Jinhyuk says, rescue people in need of help once things start getting messy. Whether they're from the Empire or Murim. He thinks, what do you mean, sorry? Just do as I say. Or do you want Alice to beat you up again? Yes, sir. Tree of Life says, no, that's where my children are. Jinhyuk says, activating a Grave of Swords. Jinhyuk thinks, the aura blade falls too short in capacity for this. Jinhyuk says, Salamander. Salamander appears and says, yes, sir. Fire Spirit Punch. Jinhyuk says, that's hot. System says, you have fulfilled the copy condition. You may copy one of Anthrax's skills. Jinhyuk thinks, I'll let the Stalker keep Anthrad occupied for now, while I recover my mana. Bloodthirst. Namgung Tion. Azure Sky Flying Swallow Blade. Jinhyuk says, this bastard. Jinhyuk uses the Shield of Perseus. Beck says, what are you doing, Namgung Tion? You're going to lose us the bidding rights. Shut up. Don't you get that this is all just a joke to him? This is our only chance while he's still weak from the demon's attack. The Elven Forest, Beijing Outbreak. The battle to choose forces. And now, this giant's fortress raid. He's always done something ridiculous to manipulate the situation to his advantage. I have finally realized that the demon that needs to die is you. He attacks Kong Jinhyuk. Will Young stops him and says, how dare you try to harm the liege in a situation like this? Have you lost your mind? He says, you must be a member of the demonic cult, seeing as you use shadow arts. Have you also been brainwashed by this bastard? More. I need to kill him right now. It's certain that he was the one that summoned this demon too. I'm sure you've definitely doubted him before. Think. Wuliang says, how do you know all that, my liege? All the unique synthesis methods, and what will happen in the future. Jinhyuk thinks, I can't tell you right now, but I will tell you everything when the time comes. You're my subordinate, after all. Wuliang. Wuliang says, I am his sword. A sword does not doubt his master. The 17th part of the Solo Max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. In the start of this chapter, we see that the Benchtelen is very angry. He thinks, I was going to take over the fortress and bring down the Emperor with the increased influence. All my plans were ruined, just because of some outsider. This is pissing me off. Nirasha asks him to calm down. She says, just find a different way to reach your goals. Benchtelen, I've only ever snuck in here. It's weird to be here by invitation. Abraham and the Pinheimer bow down and say, Your Majesty Reinhardt. Reinhardt says, good work. My swordmasters. Dear heroes, you have defeated 4 demons. I will bestow upon you 3 Heavens Designation Stones as promised. The Heavens Designation Stone allows you to communicate with the higher divine beings in the tower. Originally, only those with royal blood are allowed to possess this item. But keep in mind that this is only a medium for communication. In order to speak with the divine beings, you need to have the right qualities. Those who are chosen become the owners of the designated stone. Those who are not chosen can never use it. Teresa notices something and says, There's one more missing other than our 3 designation stones. Jinhyuk says, that's probably because it was already used. The founding emperor, Reinhard I, who had been recognized by the divine beings for immense power and adaptability to rule. But that means that there wasn't anyone after him who was able to compete with him. After that, the authority of the emperor has been declined. Isn't that so, your majesty? Penheimer gets angry and says, Jinhyuk, watch your mouth. I cannot just sit by and allow you to speak like that to his majesty. Reinhardt says, it's okay. He's not wrong. Authority, it's what my subordinates argue over all the time. I'm already aware that I'll never be as powerful as the founding emperor. I don't have any power or will left within me anymore. I had taken both for granted and at some point, they were suddenly gone. Like my successor who's buried here, authority weighs too much on me now. So please take these stones and protect the people of the empire in my stead. Jinhyuk thinks, what a pathetic emperor. I would have thrown him out right away had the situation been any different. System says, all barriers are being cancelled. Defense magic spell has been undone. Invaders are in the emperor's tomb. There are many soldiers pointing their spears at them. Benchtelen appears there and says, Your Majesty. Penheimer get angry and says, Benchtelen, you traitor. You dare bare your teeth at his majesty? Benchtelen says, poor old man. I'm not the only one. Penheimer says, Mackenzie? And the other swordmasters too? Abraham is also going on their side. Abraham took out his sword and says, this is my first and last warning. Players, back off. This has nothing to do with you. Jinhyuk smiles and says, I can't do that. I haven't received all my rewards yet. Benchtelen asks them not to waste any time and attack right away. Abraham gives them warning again. Nirasha appears there. She says, you must be conflicted about harming the saviors of your empire. Then we'll take care of them. You don't care if it's fellow players who harm them, right? She says, Arun, Chundra. Chundra attacked Teresa, but she blocks her attack. Arun attacked Yusung, and he also blocks his attack. After that, Nirasha attacked Jinhyuk. He also blocked her attack. She says, so you're Jinhyuk. Nice to meet you. Jinhyuk activates the Eye of Gluttony. System says, failed to evaluate target. The current target is blessed by Mandala. Jinhyuk thinks, Mandala's blessing? She says, it's still not too late. If you stand with us, we'll share our profits with you. Benchtelen has promised to give our guild 10% of the empire's profits if we manage to successfully help him take over the empire. It doesn't look that promising for the emperor anymore. Anyway, Jinhyuk start laughing. He says, you don't seem to know just what kind of bastards the sword masters are. Mackenzie and Abraham are fighting with Penheimer. Penheimer says to them, I don't remember teaching you to be like this. Why have you betrayed us, Mackenzie, Abraham? Mackenzie says, we haven't betrayed the empire. We have decided to betray the emperor who refuses to do anything when the empire is falling. Look for yourself at the emperor. He's given up everything. He's pathetic even while you fight for his sake. Penheimer says, yes, his majesty has not been well even since the prince passed away. But in his body runs the blood of Reinhardt. And I've sworn to protect the Reinhardt. Abraham says, if that is your answer, you leave me no choice but to slay you. Mackenzie and Abraham's swords pierce through Penheimer armor. Abraham says, you could have easily defeated both of us. So why? Penheimer says, a swordmaster is meant to be wielded only to protect the people of the empire and the emperor. And you're my disciples as well as brothers. What master can slay their own disciple? You fools. I apologize that I was unable to prevent things from getting to this point. Penheimer is on his knees. Jinhyuk says, well done. Did you finally realize that something's off? The Benchtelen that you're pushing to power is already on the side of Murim. These players were invited by Murim. Abraham says, Benchtelen, is he speaking the truth? Benchtelen is making the evil face and says, why? Do you regret what you've done? Jinhyuk says, it's not too late. Take Penheimer and the emperor and get out of here. Jinhyuk says to Mackenzie, remember what I said about your trauma. Mackenzie remembers what Jinhyuk says to him. Jinhyuk says, hey, I'm sorry about that back then. I protected the empire, so forgive me. Mackenzie says, go away. Jinhyuk says, You seem pretty traumatized. Do you want to know how you can overcome it? You can overcome trauma when you freely use it to your advantage. Mackenzie put down his helmet. Jin-hyuk wears sunglasses. He activates the daylight on Mackenzie's bald head. No one can see because of this light. Yusung says, so this is why he handed these out to us. They took the Emperor and Pinheimer and ran away from there. Binchtelen ordered his men to catch them. Jin-hyuk says to her, finally, we can talk on our own. I was looking forward to our meeting after hearing that a player had defeated a demon on the 21st floor by themselves. But you're not really all that. Now that it's just the two of us, why don't you show me your true power, Nirasha? She says, all right, I'll show you my true powers. She activates the unison of body and mind. God of Destruction, Shiva, interlinked. This is the end of the video. Subscribe for the next part. In the start of this part, we see that the Jin-hyuk is smiling and also looking very excited. Nirasha is powering up. A picture of God appears behind her, and she is getting surrounded by yellow aura. She interlinked herself with the God of Destruction Shiva. Jin-hyuk is still smiling and trying to hold himself. He thought to himself and wondered how she has Mandala's blessing. She has this because she was piggybacking the God of Destruction Shiva. Power up is completed. She is looking very dangerous with a monstrous smile on her face. She is looking very powerful. She says to Jin-hyuk with a smile and yellow eyes, aren't you well aware that the Emperor of the Empire is over 4? They managed to avoid their downfall this time thanks to you. We see that the Yusung, Teresa, Abraham who is carrying the Emperor, and Mackenzie who is carrying the Pinheimer are running from the Binchtelen soldiers. Yusung throws a coin at the treasure which results in activating the traps for the gravediggers. The traps consist of arrows and iron ball with spikes. Arun and Chandra are struggling and dodging them. Nirasha continues her talk saying that it's only a temporary solution. Jin-hyuk, do you really think that there are still people out there who will support the Emperor who has done nothing for the Empire for a long time? She asks him while smiling that they should not waste their energy here and join hands. Jin-hyuk smiles and says that you're right. I assume there are only Pinheimer and a few of his close personnel who are willing to support the Emperor at this point in time. That's why I went around convincing a few people. We see the Archbishop, twins, and other sisters waiting for them. Injured Pinheimer looks at the Archbishop with a sad face and asks her, "Why are you here?" The Archbishop catches the Pinheimer and says, "My old love, how did you get yourself in this bad situation?" Archbishop is using her magic to stop the bleeding of the Pinheimer. She is using the sacred healing to heal him. Archbishop reveals that her child told her that there is an ominous force preparing an uprising to harm His Majesty. She is still holding the Pinheimer in her hands. She says that I assume this was why contact with the capital was cut off. She says to Pinheimer that he did well on his own. Benchtelen appears there with Chandra and Arun. He is looking very exhausted. He points his finger towards the Archbishop and asks her why she is here. Archbishop raises her fist with holy on her finger and tells him that she is here to crush the skulls of the like of you, traitors. She says to Abraham and Teresa that they'll take care of things here, so take the Emperor somewhere safe. Benchtelen says to her that you stupid paladins, don't you get it? Do you really think you will make a difference? Benchtelen raises his hand and activates the command signal. Now he can transfer sound within the range. He is asking for the attention of all the soldiers of the capital. He tells them that the Emperor has betrayed his people, and he's trying to hand over the empire to foreigner. He is making a very evil face and orders all the soldiers, saying that for the sake of the empire, dethrone the empire. We see two soldiers are talking to each other about what Benchtelen says to them. They are wondering if what he is saying is true or not. They see Mackenzie, Teresa, and Abraham running with the Emperor. Soldier sees them and asks the other soldier, "What should we do?" Soldier starts running before them and says, "Catch him." We see one soldier get attacked by the Archbishop very badly. He coughed out blood from his mouth and nose. She makes an angry face with smoke coming out from her fist. She says that Benchtelen is making this quite annoying for them. Archbishop hits close her fist and orders the other sisters that they should not kill unless it is necessary and just beat the soldiers enough to knock them out. May the blessing of light with you. Arun and Chandra are also there. Chandra tells Arun while running that the things are getting complex. Arun says that they'll catch the Emperor. Someone stop them. We see that the twins are there. Girl asks them if they are going to play with them. She is holding a black stick-like weapon. Boy says, player versus player. Chandra sends a message to Nirasha saying that they need reinforcements because paladins are in their way. Nirasha sees the message. After reading that, she makes a little annoyed face and says that so they did prepare a backup plan. They're making it hard to make a profit. She says to Jin-hyuk that the only choice I has is to defeat you right here, and OG kill the Emperor myself. Yellow aura surround while she runs to attack Jin-hyuk. She says that she will not kill him, since that would be a waste of talent. Well, that's if you can withstand this. She attacks him with a death roll chakram. Jin-hyuk dodged that attack, but this is not the end. The death roll chakram takes a round and comes back to attack him again. Jin-hyuk dodged that one attack again and again. She jumps to attack him again. Jin-hyuk is also holding his dagger on his right hand. She uses the attack, God of Destruction Shiva, Vinash. Vinash means destruction. Jin-hyuk crosses his hands to stop the attack. Jin-hyuk is not looking worried. Her attack hit the Jin-hyuk. Because of her attack, Jin-hyuk goes flying while piercing through the ground. Jin-hyuk lands on the ground floor. So much smoke and flying debris. Nirasha also came down on the ground floor. Jin-hyuk says from smoke, "You know, even if you have a god carrying you, we're in the royal tomb, you know? Don't you think it's a bit rude to destroy the place like this?" When smoke clears, we see that the Jaehyuk is sitting on some red thing. Nirasha says while saying, "Who cares? They're just the tower's residents anyway. Whether I destroy it or not has nothing to do with if I can climb the Tower of Trails." She sees Jin-hyuk and says that you should stop that. She asks him, "Are you really going to use the Heaven's Designation Stone? Doing something like that so rashly might end up making a god hate." Now she is looking somewhat worried. Jin-hyuk holds the Designation Stone while smiling and says, "Hate? I'm used to gods hating me. And hating is only possible if they're paying attention to me." He is about to use the Heaven's Designation Stone. System says, activation Heaven's designation stone. Attempting to connect to a god of the upper levels. Nirash is feeling the pressure. She says, you insane bastard. We see that everything turns red. System tells them that the upper level being has responded to Jinhyuk call. The higher being wishes to manifest to this realm. The restrictions of the tower prevent the manifestation from taking place. Due to the restrictions, you can only converse with the god through the designation stone. God angrily says to Jinhyuk, who dare? System tells them that the higher being is breaking the restriction and attempting manifestation. The higher being appears there. System says, the higher being has forcefully broken the tower's restrictions and is being manifested. In a chilling moment, God's once serene expression twists into an evil grin, surrounded by a crimson aura pulsating with sinister energy. He addresses Jinhyuk with a mix of disbelief and disdain. You reject my offer to become a dark disciple, yet you seek my audience again? God's voice reverberates with ominous power. Jinhyuk, now alert, meets God's gaze with determination. He faces the entity known as Rotting Heart Varial, his resolve unshaken. Why not tell me what you did back then? God's words cut through the tension, but this time to my face. As Jinhyuk braces himself, ready to confront his past, the chamber fills with an eerie glow, casting shadows that seem to dance with the impending confrontation. In this moment, the fate of Jinhyuk and perhaps all creation hangs in the balance. This is the end of the video. Subscribe for the next part. Hello. Welcome to the 15th part of the Solo Max level newbie. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that Rotting Heart Varial says, what did you say to me back on the 5th floor? Jinhyuk excitedly smiles and says, a tiger can't submit to a dog. Jinhyuk says, I reject. Varial comes really close to him, and why don't you try saying that again? Jinhyuk says, it's a shame, but I'm not in the situation to be joking around right now. Why don't you help me out since you're here already? Varial starts to laugh. He says, you make it sound like I owe you something. You just wait. I'm going to come up with the best curse for you. Jinhyuk says, Chun Yusung. You were the one who added the copy condition to make him wear the maid outfit. Adding that kind of additional condition by intervening in the system. It looks like you're really enjoying my content. Isn't that right? If you help me out here, I'll pay you back with even more entertaining content. I'll make sure you're never bored. A kind of fun you'll never see anywhere else in the Tower of Trials. Time resumes. Jinhyuk also activates the unison of body and mind. With Demon King Varial, God of Destruction Shiva is really surprised and says, Varial? Why are you siding with that human? Varial smiles and says, do you want a reason? It's simple. This guy's fun. Jinhyuk starts to attack Nirasha. Jinhyuk uses the Demon King's special technique, Colossus Ultimate Strike. Nirasha coughs out blood. She says, didn't you say something about not destroying the royal grave just now? Jinhyuk says, it's fine. I'll just say that it was your doing. Varial starts to laugh. Arun says, I thought you guys were neutral? Why are you getting in our way? Twin says, who knows? Do you need a reason? We don't think that much. But if we were to come up with one, Twins attacks them and say, it's because we like Jinhyuk. Twins start to take pictures. Teresa sees that and thinks, the twins really like Jinhyuk. She feels something and thinks, there is an intense fight going on underground. Shiva says, you cannot let Varial defeat you. That bastard. I hate how much of a little snake he is. System says, the millennia archnemesis, Absolute Mandala, is blooming. Nirasha says, thank you, Shiv. Varial says, I was having so much fun, and they ruined it. King Jinhyuk, Shiva's sharing his skills with her now. Unison of body and mind won't be enough. I am a first-rate demon king who can easily win against Shiv, but I don't have the ability to share skills with you yet. Jinhyuk says, is that so? Then I guess I'll just have to show you something fun like I promised. System says, opening the third special feature of one who first conquered the tower. Exclusive Holy Lance copy. You can use the copy of the exclusive Holy Lance owned by a higher being. The range of usage is limited to the higher beings in contact with you. Once used, you cannot use this again. Help Penheimer earn Reinhardt III's trust and restore the Empire to its former glory. You have fulfilled the condition of the third quest of the one who first conquered the tower. Jinhyuk thinks, what? I did earn the Emperor's trust, but I haven't managed to bring the Empire to glory. I don't know why the system keeps favoring me like this, but I'll take advantage of it. Activating exclusive Holy Lance copy.
Copying Veriel's exclusive Holy Lance.
A really strong-looking spears appears. Dark Spear of Kishan. Variel gets really excited and says, what the hell? How are you using my Kishan when I didn't give you permission? Jinhyuk says, I told you that I'm going to show you something fun. Variel laughs like a madman. Jinhyuk throws the spear with his full strength. Narasha activates the absolute mandala. System says, mandala is being corrupted. She is barely holding on. Shiva shouts and says, Variel, where did you get a monster of a human being like that? Variel laughs and says, Shiva, that is how strong the demon realm is. Shiva says, damn it. System says, unison of body and mind is being cancelled. Absolute mandala is being cancelled. Spears hits her. Jinhyuk says, how refreshing. She chuffs out blood. Jinhyuk says, but I can't let an S-rank die because of something like this. Everyone is fighting. The floor explodes. Teresa is really surprised. There are really big holes in the roofs. Variel says, it's been a while since I laughed like that. You sure are good at entertaining. System says, unison of body and mind is being cancelled. Variel says, I'll take you as my disciple next time for sure. See you again. Narasha says, it's your win. I surrender. But do you think you'll be able to stop the revolution just because you won against me? Jinhyuk says, I let you live, and yet, you have the audacity to yap like this? Just go to sleep instead. Jinhyuk activates the 2-star hypnosis barrier. She sleeps. Jinhyuk thinks it's frustrating, but what she said is right. I won't be able to stop the uprising. Unless the Emperor stands up against it, the Empire will fall due to internal conflict. And if that happens, I won't be able to promise reward from Penheimer. Should I just be satisfied that I got the third special feature and give up on the shortened raid route of the middle floors? Alice says, if you just have to give life and park inspiration into the Emperor. I have a good idea. A way to wake up the foolish Emperor. The 15th part of the Solo Max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the 16th part of the Solo Max level newbie. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that Alice says, if you just have to give life and spark inspiration into the Emperor. I have a good idea. A way to wake up the foolish Emperor. There is a lot of fighting going on. Alice gets in front of the Emperor and says, hey, Emperor, don't you care about your image? You look really stupid and pitiful sitting there like that. How can you call yourself a Reinhardt, looking like that? Swordmass says, how dare you speak so impudently? Abraham stops him and says, that mage is Kong Jinhyuk's friend. Let's just watch what she does. For now, what a sight. She brings out a spear. She says, the Reinhardt I knew wasn't like this. She casts a spell, Thursincho. System says, activating, unknown. Jinhyuk also gets there. System says, summoning the soul of a being with a deep bond to the use. You need to teach him a lesson. Founding Emperor of the Empire. Reinhardt 1. Emperor says, this can't be. You are. The Founding Emperor? Founding Emperor says, my descendant. What are you doing on the floor like this? You must not let yourself break down. That is not something an emperor should allow himself to do. Emperor says, just what do I do? My child. The child I was going to give everything to. He suddenly left this world. How can I go on without him? Founding Emperor says, I talk to you, child. Reinhardt 3. All those of my bloodline are with me. HW was a great child. I understood at once why you chose him to be your successor, but I do think he would be very sad to see this situation. Do you not think that you should live in such a way that when you come join us in the future, can someone tell you that you lived without regrets as a true Reinhardt? Founding Emperor says, finally, there is life in those eyes of yours. Emperor starts to cry. System says, Reinhardt 1 is activating. Emperor's message. His voice reaches the whole empire. He says, children of the empire, the founding emperor commands you. Throw down your weapons and stop fighting. Everyone throws down the weapon. Benchtelen says, my body's moving on its own. Paladin smashes his head on the ground and says, Empire traitor. Benchtelen. This is the end of the uprising. Founding Emperor says, I'm sure my descendant can take things on from here. Thank you for calling me here. Master. She says, you recognize me despite the mask. Founding Emperor kneels down in front of the Alice and says, you must have escaped the Hall of Depraved. It's with a heavy heart that I must leave you again. Alice says, it's okay. Do not worry about me. I've already found someone I can trust and depend on. The uprising that had swept over the Empire's capital came to an end. Benchtelen and his group were sentenced to death for instigating the uprising, but thanks to the Emperor's mercy, they were taken to a rehabilitation facility run by Savannah. The Swordmasters could not escape punishment either, but they did not resist. This is a really good deal. You get that? Jinhyuk takes everything from the other players. He didn't even leave them any clothes. He says, because I could not kill the most important members of a large guild, I let the Gandhara guild members go after they gave me everything they had. Not many lives were lost thanks to the fast resolution, but it was still enough to plant the seed of doubt about the royalty in people's minds. But this doubt was easily appeased when they saw how passionate and lively the Emperor was. Once again, Emperor says, I hereby pledge to all of you present here. Pinhammer says, His Majesty is back. It's all thanks to you.
Come Jinhyuk.
I will provide you the shortest route to the upper floors as promised. And I, the Empire's Grand Swordmaster, swear my loyalty to you. After that we see Jinhyuk says, I thought we were done for, but it was all resolved thanks to you, Alice. How did you know the founding emperor? We just knew each other for a short time long ago. Jinhyuk thinks he called her master. Do not worry about me. I've already found someone I can trust and depend on. I guess she doesn't want to talk about it yet. Jinhyuk sees someone in the crowd. He says, Alice, stay here for a bit. Alice says, why? Where are you going off to this time? This is a gift. Drink it. They start to run. She says, thanks, no. Jinhyuk activates a brand of tribulation. Did you really think that you could escape me? Jinhyuk says, it's been a while. Ophelia. The 16th part of the Solo Max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the 17th part of the Solo Max level newbie. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see a flashback where Ophelia is surrounded by some people. She gets slapped on the face. They says, Bertillon and Michael, who have both lived for the sake of the honor and prosperity of the Decus' household, have died in battle. Why is it that only you came back alive, Ophelia? Did you perhaps beg for your life? To a human? Go to the 21st floor and find a way to locate Bamong, and do not return until you have found it, or die on your own quietly. After that we see that she is about to kill herself. The brand of tribulation gets activated. She screams with pain. System says, a slave's life is the owner's possession. Suicide is not allowed. Damn it. I can't even return home, and I don't even have control over my own life. She starts to cry and says, please, can't you just kill me? Jinhyuk says, nah. If I wanted you to die, I would have brought Alice here. And don't act like you're the victim here. You can't die. You need to work for me for the rest of your life. She says, damn it. I'm a noble being. Jin-hyuk thinks, sounds like. The vampire guys are still trying to look for Bamong. Jin-hyuk says, Ophelia, go back and tell them that you found a way to locate Bamong. He says, the best holy relic for hunting dragons. The Dragon Slayer's sword, Bamong. Blamen is sealed deep within some dungeon on the 21st floor, along with the corpse of the poisonous dragon that still exudes a lethal poison. However, it is very hard for a normal player or a tower resident to find the entrance to this dungeon. The dungeon's entrance location changes randomly without any given pattern. Then there is only one thing to do. Jin-hyuk sees some following. The follower gets scared. Jin-hyuk uses the Eye of Gluttony. His name is Furtsis Dantalion. A copy condition window appears saying, Copy conditions. Furtsis is a tower explorer spreading news around the floors. In order to copy on of his skills, you need to fulfill both conditions. Grant Furtsis the favor that he will ask of you soon. Show him how well you treat your companions. Jin-hyuk thinks, it's to use the Great Tower Explorer Furtsis. Jin-hyuk says, you can stop acting. Explorer Furtsis, you've been watching me ever since I got here. Furtsis says, you know me? Just tell me instead of stalking me. What do you want from me? Furtsis brings out a box and says, this is the piece I had been working on. The tower's ranks measure the abilities of everyone active within the Tower of Trials to rank them. To be honest, I want to put you on this list. Ever since I heard about you, I've been wanting to collect your data and put you on this list. But this damn tower's players don't even have a system in place. How savage is that? If I can finish this tower's ranking, I will be able to have the players' data all nicely organized. He's still obsessed with numbers. I guess he's similar to Rick in that sense. The tower's rankings. Is this what I'm supposed to help him with to fulfill the copy conditions? If you can just sign here, agreeing to giving up all of your and your company's personal information. Jin-hyuk says, wait, I'll sign right away. If you'll just do me a quick favor. He says, of course. Give and take. What can I do for you? It's really simple. Jin-hyuk says, please find the entrance to the dungeon that has the Dragon Slayer's sword, Bamong. I know you can do it. Furtsis says, but the Empire has banned entry to that place, so it's. Jin-hyuk says, then I'm not sure about giving you my information. It's not like I really care about this ranking stuff. Jin-hyuk gets up and says, you don't want to do anything for me, but you want to take my personal information, as well as all of my people too? Furtsis says, no, that's. Jin-hyuk says, what kind of nonsensical negotiation is this? I'm leaving. Let's never meet again. Furtsis says, Mr. Kong Jin-hyuk, please be more sympathetic. I'm just an individual explorer, so if I make an enemy out of a force as great as the Empire, I'll be in great danger. Jin-hyuk says, is that really something to worry about? What not just keep it a secret? We ever gone to the Bamong dungeon? After that we see back on Earth Black Crow Guild building. A girl says, F my life. When am I gonna get through all these applications? I'm just a minor. There's nothing we can do about it as long as the Guildmaster's 21st floor raid video is pulling in all these views. This king of thing never happened when Miss Alice was looking after us. Someone knocks on the door. Twins get there and says, we are here. They are really surprised to see them and says, you guys are Europe's ranked psycho twins, Casey and Jadello? They says, Jin-hyuk told us to help out with the guild stuff. He and we are family now. Didn't he tell you? He thinks of Jin-hyuk's message and thinks, this is what he meant. She says, is there anything we can do? I'd prefer something fun. After that we see there are a lot of hunter outside the building. Twins get there and says, attention. There were way too many applicants, so the first round of testing will be held right here. In order to pass, you need to stay conscious until the very end. Ready? Everyone is really surprised. Twins jump and attack them. They say, begin. Applicant says, why are the psycho twins here? Manager Kim thinks, S-rank sure are dependable. This is something Miss Alice would have done in the past. I hope you're doing all right, Miss Alice. After that we see Jin-hyuk says, are you sure it's here? They are standing in front of a warehouse-type building, and Furtsis says, it might be suspicious, but I'm certain this is where the entrance is. I can clearly see it. The means with which the entrance is formed. Furtsis activates entry pass. System says, forcibly open any entrance you are not permitted to enter. Penalty: you will not be able to obtain items or EXP.
Dungeon gate opens.
Jinhyuk thinks, if it weren't for him, I would need really complex tracking magic as well as an item of the Emperor's. As expected of Furtsis, he says, let's go. I've always wondered what kind of dungeon this was. Vampires also get there. And she says, you've done well. Ophelia. She orders her army of vampires to chase after him. Furtsis is really surprised to see inside and says, oh my god, there are the Chronicles of Siegfried, the legendary dragon slayer, and the owner of the dragon slayer sword, Bamong. It's all written in Detain in this ancient language. Some traps get activated. Water Spirit and Earth Spirit are defending against the traps. Furtsis says about how he killed the poison dragon Fafnir with the dragon slayer sword. Amazing. It's amazing. Furtsis says, if it weren't for you spirits, we wouldn't have been able to read this because of all the traps. But I thought that spirits don't get into contract with humans. So how did you manage to do that? Jinhyuk says, I opened the locks to their hearts with genuine and warm love. Isn't that right, guys? All the spirits says, of course. Jinhyuk says, don't even forget that if either Furtsis or I get hurt, even a tiny bit, you're all going to be punished by Goguma. Spirits are hitting the T-bone and says, hey, I can see your feet. What's up with that? We're moving so fast that we can't see our own feet, and you dare to take it slow? Jinhyuk thinks, I guess that didn't fulfill the copy condition. System says, copy conditions. Show him how well you treat your companions incomplete. Jinhyuk activates the first ever fire. There are a lot of arrows sticking out of the T-bone, and spirits are on the ground. Jinhyuk says, so this is the poison dragon Fafnir, and the dragon slayer sword, Bamong? Jinhyuk says, well, don't blocking all those traps for our 3 hours. Have this, and rest for a bit. Furtsis says, my. Jinhyuk, also don't get too close to Fafnir. It died while spewing poison that contained resentment for Siegfried. That poison is so lethal that no one can survive getting close to it. Don't worry, I already knew that. Even if I do manage to pass the poison, I'll have to be chosen by Bamong to be able to use it. Furtsis says, you know everything about this tower, huh? Do you perhaps want to join me on my journeys? Jinhyuk says, so you're a tower explorer, huh? Jinhyuk thinks, I bet it would be fun to go exploring with you. I'm sure it'd be impossible to find someone who is unbiased and greedless when it comes to anything in this tower of trials. However, Jinhyuk's, it's an interesting offer, but made at a bad time. Vampires get there and, Jinhyuk says, we have some uninvited guests. Furtsis is really scared to see them. Vampire leader sees the sword and says, finally, we've found the dragon slayer sword, Bamong. She says, Ophelia, you have done well. You have earned the right to return home. Ophelia says, thank you. Jinhyuk says, here come the mosquitoes of Decasis. You must have used quite a bit of money to get all of you down here. We always have ample sacrifice for the tower. We have looked all over for the dragon slayer sword. To the point even worked with an inferior demonic human. But to think that all I had to do was follow you to find it. It's quite unbelievable. Jinhyuk says, you wanted Bamong that bad? But what a shame. Even you wouldn't be able to withstand such a strong poison. I do not care about the poison. I already know how to deal with it. Don't forget to capture the explorer too. He seems pretty useful. It would be nice to have him as our permanent search dog. Furtsis starts to run and says, no, then I won't be able to explore. I don't want that. Furtsis activates wandering through floors and says, sorry, Mr. Jinhyuk. System says, moving to a different floor without incurring any penalties. Furtsis says, I must get out of here. 2 vampires attack him from behind. The vampires explode. Goguma is the one that killed them. Furtsis says, that's an ancient creature. Jinhyuk says, Goguma protects him. The rest of you, assemble. All his spirits go into battle mode. All the vampires are really surprised. Jinhyuk says, do you really think that I wouldn't have gotten stronger from the last time we saw each other? Anyway, I heard that you vampires are weak against fire. Fire spirit uses spirit breath. T-Bone says, whoa, you're all amazing. Then I'll also. Jinhyuk picks up T-Bone and says, take this. Vampire leader thinks, the 5 great spirits, as well as an ancient creature. This bastard has actually gotten stronger than the last time I saw him. Most of Decasis won't be a match for him. She smiles and thinks, however. She uses a blood explosion. Spirits get blown up. She says, struggling against some spirits. The future of the Decasis is looking dim. You are all in for strict training once we return. They says, Sir, I apologize. He says, I will show you how it's done. As the patriarch of the Decasis, Jinhyuk activates the Eye of Gluttony. His name is Amulim de Decasis. Copy conditions. Amulium has pure blood running through his veins, escaping from his mind domination. He activated this skill by having his opponent drink his blood. You will be able to copy one of his conditions if you manage to break free of his mind domination skill. Spirit says, Master, watch out. He's worlds different from the other guys. You guys help Goguma protect Furtsis. I'll take care of that thing. Amulim says, you seem confident. However, you won't be a match for me even if you had all of the ancient creatures and spirits under your command. Activating blood alchemy. Activating first even fire. Amulim appears behind Jinhyuk. Jinhyuk is surprised. He hits Jinhyuk. Jinhyuk goes flying. He says, pretty good reaction speed for a human. You managed to twist away at the last moment, but not fast enough to avoid all harm. Then let's see. What kind of power? You blood possesses. He activates a blood explosion. Blood that was coming out of Jinhyuk's wounded explodes. The 17th part of the Solo Max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the 18th part of the Solo Max level newbie. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that Amulim says, then, let's see what kind of power your blood possesses. He activates a blood explosion. Blood on Jinhyuk's cheek explodes. A big blood explosion happens. A lot of rubble goes flying. Amulim sees something. Jinhyuk is standing in the middle of the smoke. Jinhyuk is unharmed and says, good thing I dodged that in time. I would have been holding hands with the Reaper had I not. Amulim is really surprised and thinks, what? I've never seen it explode like that before. Is there something about his blood other than the sweet smell it has? Jinhyuk removes his jacket and says, hey, are you trying to kill me? I thought you wanted to get the Dragon Slayer's sword. Amulim says, it's none of your business about how I obtained the Dragon Slayer's sword. However, I have a different reason for coming to see you. The criminal who I sealed a long time ago, who's currently hiding in your ring. I've come to take Alice back. Jinhyuk says, a criminal? I don't know what you're talking about. Amulim angry and says, are you taking me for a fool right now? I saw you manifest Alice on the 7th floor. Jinhyuk is acting like a dumb boy. He says, I can't hear well because of that explosion earlier. Some blood drops appears around Jinhyuk. Amulim says, cut the bullshit, or I will kill you. Summon the vampire you're hiding. Right now? Jinhyuk says, I can finally hear. I can call forth my vampire. Jinhyuk says, come on out. Don't be shy. Ophelia gets there. Amulim is surprised and says, Ophelia? Why did you just step up? She is really scared. We see a flashback where Amulim says, is that true, Ophelia? That Kong Jinhyuk is searching for Bamong on the 21st floor? She says, yes, sir. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. I've checked that he's employed a mysterious explorer who can find the Bamong. He says, oh, I see. Well done, go rest. This might be your chance to recover your honor. Someone comes there and says, Ophelia. Her brank of tribulation gets activated. She hears someone say, bring it back, Ophelia. The forgotten holy relic of the Decasis household. The apostate's bracelet. Amulim is really surprised and thinks, why is that on her wrist? System says, attempting to undo the seal on the apostate's bracelet. Apostata's bracelet has been confirmed. User's identity as the bloodline of the Decasis household has been confirmed. Time remaining until unlocking the seal. 10 minutes. Amulum tries to grab the apostate's bracelet and says, "What are you doing, Ophelia?" Jinhyuk activates a band of tribulation. She bring out her sword. System says, "Do not let anyone else take the apostate's bracelet until the seal is broken no matter what. Attack anyone who tries to take it away from you." She attacks Amulum and screams no. Amulum blocks her attack. She says, "I apologize, sir. I didn't do that on purpose." Amulum is really angry and says, "You dare put your hand on me, the patriarch?" She is crying and thinks, "I'm dead." He jumps toward her to attack and says, "Ophelia, so you have chosen to betray us." Amulum is really angry and uses a really powerful attack. A really big explosion happens. Jinhyuk activates the Sword Demon King's steps and saves her. She says, "Why did you save me?" Jinhyuk says, "I told you. You need to serve me for eternity. The seal's not broken yet either." Jinhyuk throws her away. Jinhyuk smiles and says, "So, what will you do now, Amulum? Ophelia wants to be my subordinate. You should have taken better care of your subordinates when you had the chance." Amulum is really angry and a lot of blood is floating around him. He says, "I will make sure that you can never speak another arrogant statement again." Amulum appears in front of Jinhyuk, ready to kick him. Jinhyuk is standing still without moving an inch. Amulum used transfer to appears in front of Jinhyuk really fast. Jinhyuk goes flying and hit the roof. Amulum uses blood alchemy. Bloodhound. Jinhyuk activates the tomb's right arm. Jinhyuk destroyed his attack with a punch. Amulum jumps toward him and uses blood explosion. Jinhyuk activates the Sword Demon King's steps. They both start to fight, hitting each other with powerful attacks. Ophelia is barely hanging on because the shockwaves are too strong. She is really surprised and thinks, "This cannot be." This battle is on a whole other dimension than the one against Michael. Ancient Dragon appears there, and the fire spirit is also fighting the other vampires. She says, "You want me to go there and wait for my turn?" Amulum is sliding Jinhyuk against the wall. Amulum says, "You have certainly surprised me. I didn't expect that you would be able to use the Tombard's right arm. However, no matter how much you try, the most you can do is leave a small scratch." Amulum had a scratch on his face. Jinhyuk says, "You're greatly misunderstanding one thing, Amulum." He says, "Misunderstanding? That little scratch that you have is all I need to do." Is all I need to do. T-Bone says, "Master, it's complete." Amulum is really surprised and says, "Wait, this is..." System says, "The tower's suppression power has been weakened. The upper limit of power will be unlocked up to 20%. Jinhyuk activates a 4-star barrier, present world restraints, breaking the seal of the apostate's bracelet. Ophelia takes off the bracelet and thinks, "Whatever. At this point, there is no home for me to return to anymore." She throws the bracelet toward Jinhyuk. Jinhyuk catches it. System says, "You need the user's blood in order to break the seal spell." Jinhyuk drops his blood on the bracelet. Amulum is really angry and says, "Die." He uses a blood explosion. System says, "The owner of the blood has been confirmed. The Decasis seal over Alice von Ataraxia has been broken." She appears in middle of them. She says, "I am Alice von Ataraxia, the head of the Ataraxias. In the name of the matriarch, I shall punish you for your past sins." After that, we see a flashback where Alice says, "You're going to lure the Decasis now?" She is biting her nails and says, "While I like the idea of getting revenge, I don't have my full power back yet. And I shouldn't say this, but you're not strong enough to win against him yet." Jinhyuk puts his hand on her head and says, "This is a good chance for you, Alice. Consider it a rare opportunity to lure them to the middle floors for quiet elimination." She says, "But this plan puts you in danger." Jinhyuk smiles and says, "Don't worry, I've made arrangements for that. Plus, didn't I promise you that I would make sure to help you get your revenge?" She is standing in front of Jinhyuk. Jinhyuk is bleeding from his head and he says, "Why are you looking at me like that? Go, get your revenge." She gets really excited and says, "Right, I should." All the vampires are really scared to see her and says, "It's Ataraxia. The Empress of Pure Blood of Ataraxia has undone the seal." Amulum kills the scared vampires and says, "How dare you traitors speak her noble name? You all deserve death." Amulum is really frustrated and angry. Have used a blood bullet. She easily blocks the bullets. Amulum activates blood alchemy. A blood sword appears in his hand. He attacks Alice. Alice easily blocks his attack. She activates blood road. She says, "It's been a while, Amulum, but I still find it hard to believe that when all the patriarchs turned their backs on me, because I disagreed with the proposal to expand your influence, you still sided with me throughout the whole thing, and that after doing all that, you betrayed me." Amulum coughs out blood. She is really angry and says, "I cannot forgive you." Amulum activates an exclusive skill, Red Coffin. System says, confining the target with barriers of blood. Amulum says, "I believed a blanch power system in the tower would benefit Outkind, but in the end, you chose the tower over us. You were considered the era's most powerful vampire. You turned your back on your future with the excuse to maintain a balance." System says, condensing time and space. He says, "If you are going to fail us once again, I am willing to seal you as often as it takes." She gets trapped in a red coffin. Ophelia is really scared and Jinhyuk is drinking a position. She says, "Damn it. Is it over for me?" Jinhyuk says, "What are you talking about? Alice is the most powerful vampire there is." She breaks the coffin and a really big explosion happens. Amulum is surprised. Mysterious Explorer is really excited to see the fight and says, "This is what I've heard of in the legends." Alice activates the divine exclusive skill, Revelations of the World's Creation. She is really beautiful and black on her head and back. She looks really cool. She activates combat mode Empress of Pure Blood. Amulum is really surprised and thinks the restriction has been weakened enough for her to activate her divine exclusive skill. She destroys him. She says, "Thanks for saying that. Now I won't hesitate." He activates super regeneration. He is trying to run and thinks, "I can't even react to her speed." She hits him in the back. He goes flying really fast and hits the ground. Jinhyuk says, "Alice, I'll leave him to you. I'm going to take out the bombong." Alice says, "Don't worry about it. I'm not satisfied dealing with him yet." Jinhyuk starts to combine skill. He says, "Pashan Mountain Smoke Tree Bark. Melmerman Clinic's Ointment. Combining." System says, "You have obtained unidentified liquid. Using unidentified liquid, resistance to poison will be increased by 50% for 5 minutes. Activating 1,000 poisons. Resistance to poison will be increased by 50%. Vampire says, "Stop that human. He's headed toward the bombong." System says, users will lose 11% of the total HP every second due to the poison's effects. All the vampires start to cough out blood. They use blood attacks. Ophelia starts to kill them. One of them says, "Were you not the Decasus Hound? Didn't you see Miss Alice fighting? I don't side with losers." Bleeding effect activated due to poison. Movement speed will be decreased by 5% every second due to the effects of the poison. Jinhyuk is bleeding a lot and says, "This poison sure is intense. So, let's take it." In one try, Jinhyuk activated the Blessing of the Stars. And he also uses Dark Heavenly Demon Emperor arts. System says, vision impaired due to the effects of the poison. The mana paths have been disrupted due to the effects of the poison. Fafner's resentment has fallen into an eternal slumber. All curses of the poison have vanished. Everyone is looking toward him. Alice also sees him. Jinhyuk is holding the Dragon Slayer sword bomb. Amulum says, "I was adamant in thinking that despite the poison, that human would be able to take out the bomb." Amulum activates transfer and appears behind Jinhyuk and says, "I was right." The 18th part of the Solo Max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the 19th part of the Solo Max level newbie. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that Amulum uses transfer and appears behind Jinhyuk. He says, "I was right." Amulum says, "Alice, stop. If you come one step closer, I will shred his throat with this sword. Alice, I was wondering how you managed to escape the Hall of the Depraved. But I think I get it now. It's as if this human had taken this Dragon Slayer sword dozens of times. I'm sure that he's no ordinary human, so I won't permit his death. Instead, he will be faced with the power of the Decasis. Amulum feeds Jinhyuk blood and activates mind domination. Alice screams and says, "No, Kong Jinhyuk." After that we see Jinhyuk's soul. System says, beginning mind domination stage. There are a lot of amulum. The effects will be increased by 100% due to the pure bloodline of the user. Jinhyuk is screaming. Amulum says, that might have been too much for a human to handle. But there shouldn't be an issue following my orders even if he's a little broken. Jinhyuk starts to act like zombies. Amulum says, go. Go and capture that ataraxia bitch with your own hands. Jinhyuk starts to goof around. Alice sees him and starts to laugh really hard. Alice smiles and says, I almost fell for it. That was some pretty good acting. Jinhyuk says, not bad, right? A copy conditions window appears saying, escape Amulum's mind domination. The requirements have been fulfilled. You have successfully copied the blood explosion. Amulum is really surprised and thinks, he managed to escape my mind's domination. Alice says, I don't know how you pulled that off, but good job. Amulum activate, super regeneration. Jinhyuk says, those thoughts you tried to dominate me with were pretty amusing. Yeah, the whole thing was really impressive. But you picked the wrong person to mess with. Jinhyuk kill all Amulum clones in his mind. I've broken through much more complex skills countless times. Stage cleared. Jinhyuk activates a blood explosion. Exploding blood cells exposed to the atmosphere. Amulum is really surprised and thinks, no way. A human is using a blood explosion? Jinhyuk says, this isn't bad. Jinhyuk throws a blood drop toward Amulum. A really big explosion happens. Amulum thinks, I've lost the upper hand in the situation. I need to widen the distance. Alice uses a harpoon of Vladimir. She stabs Amulum with blood chain. She says, Amulum, you were too arrogant. You didn't even bring your main weapon. Because you thought you could defeat a human without it. Dragon Slayer's sword bombing. Acquisition difficulty, unknown. An item window appears, saying, attack force, 35,500. Weight, 37 kg. Durability, 58,000 out 160,000. Effects. 1. Ignores defenses of levels lower than holy relics. 2. Possible 20% additional damage. Double the damage when fighting a dragon. The effect lasts for 3 minutes. This may change depending on proficiency level. 3. Increases the physical capacity of the user by 10% if acknowledged as the rightful owner by Bamung. Also increases healing speed. Special active effect allows the user to use reenactment of a legend. It enables the user to reenact the battle between Fafnir and Siegfried. You need a certain level of understanding of Bamung in order to use this effect. That arrogance has caused you this defeat. Jinhyuk activates the Blessing of the Star, and also activates Dark Heavenly Demon Emperor Arts. Amulum activates Super Regeneration. He thinks, I'll be dead if I stop Super Regeneration. Alice says, Amulum de Decasis, go to hell and wait for me there. Fire of Judgment, Tursis. I will send the other patriarchs to keep you company. She uses a really big attack and kills Amulum. Amulum de Decasis has died. You have leveled up. You have obtained the Seal of Decasis. All the vampire soldiers says, the patriarch is dead. There is no hope any longer. Fall back. Wanderer says, seems like it's over now. Canceling divine exclusive skill. Revelations of the world's creation. Alice thinks, I was able to take one step closer to the revenge that I have been dreaming of for so long. But that's not the case. Jinhyuk says, Alice, what's wrong? Let's go eat what you like. Then, will you be happy? All right, let's go. Let's clean it up, guys. Ophelia thinks, I did barely survive. But what do I do now? Jinhyuk says, what are you doing, Ophelia? Aren't you coming? She says, I'm coming. Jinhyuk asks Furtzis to come with them. He says, yep, coming. System says, you have successfully copied the passive skill, Synergy. If you use more than 2 skills at once, your stats will be increased by 10%. Copy conditions. Show him how well you treat your friends. The conditions have been fulfilled. After that, we see at the Tower of Trial's higher floors vampire territory. A chair gets burned. Everyone is really surprised and says, "How can this be?" For the chair of the Decasus household to have burst into flames. Has Amulam died? I warned you that he is not someone you should underestimate. Goblin Manager appears there and says, the experience and the information he holds makes it seem like he's omniscient. Everything he does blows your expectations. If we let him continue to do as he wishes, the other patriarchs like you here might share the same fate as Amulam. Another vampire says, are you saying that we would lose to some mere human? You think that's possible? Exensian Ataraxia says, enough. High Floor Manger. Hey Sting, I don't assume you came all the way here to chat about how great that human is. Stop insulting us and just tell us what you're really thinking. The Goblin Manager says, I like that you're smart. I've thought of a plan to remove Kong Jinhyuk. They say, wait, you're this tower's high floor manager. Why would you help us when your duty is to maintain the power balance in the tower? Goblin Manger makes an evil face and says, what are you talking about? I am trying harder than ever to maintain the balance in the tower, offering information of the veteran company and tower's ranking. You can use this to check the tower's ranking at any time. Furtsis gives a box to Jinhyuk. Jinhyuk asks, you don't want it back? Furtsis says, it's a gift. You can have it. It was nice to have seen Fafnir and the Dragonslayer sword. That's enough for me. Jinhyuk says, I'm sure we'll meet again if fate makes it. Please use the ranking wisely. Teresa gets there and says, Jinhyuk. She says, I've been looking for you forever. Where have you been? I had some business to tend to. But why were you looking for me? Paladin says, what will you do now, child? Will you continue with the Paladin classes? Teresa says, yes, most Reverend Savannah. Paladin says, Teresa, serving the goddess of light can be a very hard deed. You'll be able to earn significantly strong powers if you got your second class, but you will need to give up many things in life. Paladin says, the most painful thing is that you cannot form a family. For us, who have chosen a life of restriction to upkeep the holy duties, we can only live off of the memories of passionate times. Teresa thinks, but I have no other choice if I want to become stronger. System says, due to the Archbishop's authority, Teresa de Laurentia will be honorably discharged from the forces of the Holy Empire. You will not receive any penalties. You will be freed from all duties of the Holy Empire. Teresa says, Most Reverend Savannah. Paladin says, perhaps I have made it to this position for this day. Go to the side of the person you wish to be with. System says, Teresa de Laurentia has joined the veteran company. Jinhyuk thinks, it must have been tough for her to quit since she's a paladin. Did that archbishop help her? She says, Jinhyuk, to celebrate my entrance into the company. Can you? You're so frustrating. Black Teresa comes out and says, I'm inviting you to my house, so let's have a party to celebrate. Why can't you say something so simple? Jinhyuk says, all right. Jinhyuk says, I did hear that Teresa came from a noble family, but Alice says, not bad. Not bad at all. Laurentia household mansion. I didn't know she was this rich. You're early. Teresa says, welcome. It must have been hard getting here. Nice to see you all. Andrea, Wu Liang, Alice, Bellis. And she is? Right, you never would have seen her before. She's our new employee. Ophelia. Teresa says, really? Nice to meet you. Ophelia thinks, what is with this human? She really can't recognize me even though I just changed my ear shape? I'm sure it was tiring to get here. I welcome you to the Laurentia household. Teresa's father, Dustin de Laurentia. Jinhyuk says, nice to meet you. I'm Kong Jinhyuk. Dustin says, nice to meet you. I'm Dustin. Dustin says, the hero who saved Europe. I've heard lots about you from my daughter. And for her to be fighting alongside someone like you, I'm very relieved as her father. Then, let's talk business. When do you plan on saving my daughter by getting serious with her? Teresa says, everyone, I need to talk to my father about the food. Please feel free to look around until the others get here. He thinks, soon, Chun Yusung and the 4 slaves arrived. The stalker always complains, but he's pretty submissive. Bellis educated the people from the Tower of Trials about what they should be vigilant of in this outside world. I told Alice to teach them, but she had him take on the role instead. I didn't call the twins, but they came anyway. Taemin and Yanhwa were the last to arrive. Jinhyuk says, "Attention, everyone. All of you here are a part of the veteran company, whether you like it or not. You should all take this opportunity to get to know each other." Jinhyuk says, "Now, we'll begin the first ever veteran company workshop." Everyone is enjoying the party. Teresa asks, "Where did Jinhyuk go?" Jinhyuk is walking outside and thinks, "Looks like everyone's getting along well. This is the perfect time for me to check out the reward I got from Amulum." Seal of Decasis. Jinhyuk opens the Decasis household's treasury. You will randomly receive one of the treasures of the storage. You have obtained a masterpiece where silence seeps. Only those who have completed a certain percentage of lost language can see the true value of this painting. Are you telling me this is what I get by random chance? Even if my luck stat is high, this is a bit fishy. Lost language was mentioned in the second benefit for one who first conquered the tower. He thinks of the system saying, if you uncover every lost language hidden within the tower's depths long ago, you can learn about the nameless barriers. Locations where you can find the lost languages will be shown upon your first class advancement. Did I really get this painting by pure chance? It's as if someone is helping me to complete the lost language. So, you finally realized, Kong Jinhyuk. The 19th part of the Solo Max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the 20th part of the Solo Max level newbie. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that Jinhyuk is nervous. He receives a video call from Yeon, but the screen shows question mark, not the face of Yeon. Yeon tells him, "You don't need to be so nervous. I don't want to harm you. We've watched you for a long time, Kong Jinhyuk." Jinhyuk asks, "We?" Yeon replies, "Yes, we, the ones who created this Tower of Trials." Black Teresa tells Teresa, "Hey, goody two-shoes, this is your chance. Go after Kong Jinhyuk while everyone is distracted." Teresa thinks, where did he go off to? She sees a light outside. After that, we see Jinhyuk thinks, the days when I was streaming my playthrough of Tower of Trials, there were only 20 people who watched my stream. I barely managed to make a living with their donations, but I still managed to climb to the top of the Tower of Trials. He remembers someone commenting, "I always welcome a new hero." If we combine the first letter of each word from that sentence, it makes Yeon. Jinhyuk thinks, yeah, I remember him. He commented, "Where's unknown when we need him?" I want to see him fight Kong Jinhyuk. I feel like he might have already fought him. Jinhyuk thinks he was one of my most consistent viewers. You're telling me one of my few viewers was actually an admin at the Tower of Trials? Yeon says, "You remember me now? I would have been upset otherwise." Kong Jinhyuk, we go back a long way. Longer than you'd think. We donated enough money so that you wouldn't have to worry about your sustenance. And we also arranged a training facility so that you could stay fit. Jinhyuk asks, "You mean you helped me to focus on just climbing the tower?" Yeon replies, "Yeah." Jinhyuk asks, "But why?" Yeon tells him, "Because you were different from the other humans who gave up easily. We believe that you would see the tower to its end. We created a Tower of Trials to be a world of suffering and unfairness, dedicated to pushing people to their limits. But you actually enjoyed it. In the end, you succeeded. You managed to climb to the very top." Jinhyuk asks, "So all those special benefits and the clues for the forgotten language were your doing?" Yeon says, "Yep. I like that you're quick to catch on." Jinhyuk asks, "So what do you want from me then? I mean, what's your reason to invest so much into me?" Yeon tells him, "It's simple. We want you to climb the Tower of Trials to the top once again." Jinhyuk asks him, "What if I refuse?" We see a glass of wine breaks. Yeon tells him, "Then humanity will meet its end as planned." Alice appears behind Jinhyuk. She asks, "What are you doing here alone?" Jin-hyuk smiles. He tells her I was checking the rewards I got from defeating Amulam. She asks, and? Did you get anything useful? Jin-hyuk says, somewhat. Alice is happy and tells him, talking about that finally makes me feel like I've really gotten rid of one of the 6 patriarchs who betrayed me. Jin-hyuk says, I promised you that I'd help you get your revenge. Alice says, I know that you're going to keep that promise. You look worried, though. You can talk to me about it if you want. You're the only human I trust. And you're my only contractor. Jin-hyuk smiles after hearing that. Jin-hyuk says, thanks for saying that. Teresa hears everything. Black Teresa gets frustrated. After that, we see that Jin-hyuk is going somewhere on a plane. He thinks the workshop was great in establishing friendships between the members. Knowing and understanding one another is the key to teamwork. He thinks of Yeon saying, climb to the top of the Tower of Trials once again. But keep this in mind. The 50th floor. It's completely different from back then. Jin-hyuk thinks, I couldn't hear all that they had to say because of the restrictions, but they definitely said that the 50th floor has changed. That's something unexpected, but I'm not really worried. He looks towards all of his teammates. He thinks, I guess that's because it's not just the tower that changed. After that, we see at Yanoa's house. Her grandfather gives an ice cream to Jin-hyuk and says, here. I prepared this after hearing that you liked it. Jin-hyuk says, thank you. Mr. Yu Chien-yo. Your mana has gotten a lot thicker since the last time I saw you. Did you begin climbing the tower? Chien-yong replies, yes. I decided to utilize this system with my disciples. Soon after, I understood right away that an individual can possess powers that one wouldn't in the original world. Jin-hyuk thinks, it's a good thing I brought him to my side early. He didn't take the Awaken test, but he's definitely above S rank. I guess the most powerful martial artist is bound to have immense potential. He kind of reminds me of Gramps, the Dark Emperor. Chien-yong says, I don't assume you're here just to make casual conversation. What brought you here? Jin-hyuk tells him, I wanted to take Yanoa with me to the 15th floor of the Tower of Trials. You don't need my permission for that, though. Jin-hyuk says, that's now all I wanted to talk about. The weather's pretty nice today. Why don't we take a walk? We see that Yanoa and Lee are eating. Lee SEO Jin-hyuk and Chien-yong talking and asking, I wonder what they're talking about. She says, I don't know. Are you not going to eat that? I'll clean it up for you. I assume he's talking about going to the 15th floor. Lee says, that place. After that, we see at the Tower of Trials 15th floor Antichrist's tomb. We see a girl crying. Yanoa tells the place where the most infamous boss, the Wailing Witch, resides. After that, we see at the entrance of the 15th floor, ancient ruins of Antichrist's tomb attack units camp. There is Europe's strongest organization, Olympus, and also Asia's strongest, Dangun, as well as the world's strongest Gandhara guild. The captain of Gandhara says, we had all the greatest and most skilled guilds on our side present here, but only were we unsuccessful with the raid. We also haven't been able to get past the first guardian. Dangun team captain says, Nirasha, I understand that you're frustrated, but there is nothing we can do. The 7 deadly sins are very hard to defeat. They are completely resistant to all types of damage, plus there's some unknown curse that puts our attack unit to sleep. There is nothing we can do but enough time to plan a proper strategy. Nirasha thinks we announced that we were going to successfully raid this place as representatives of humanity, and that we were going to donate the witch's cauldron that we'd get from here to the World Awaken organization. We see a flashback where God Shiva tells Nirasha, this is a disgrace. You have no right to use my powers as someone who sold herself to some demon god. If you wish to receive my blessing once more, prove that you are worthy of it. She thinks, at this rate, I might actually be abandoned by Shiva. She hears some noises from outside. She goes out and asks, what's with all this noise? We know that Kang Jin-hyuk, Yanoa, Lee, and Teresa are there. Everyone sees them and says, Kang Jin-hyuk and his group are here. Is there some hope for this expedition now? He meets Maria and Jang Yoon-seok. Yoon-seok says, it's nice to see you guys again. He sees Nirasha and says, I didn't expect to meet you again this soon. Nirasha. Maria asks, you both know each other? Jin-hyuk replies, yep. Nirasha looks nervous. Jin-hyuk says, I'll be direct. We are going to be joining the attack unit. Jin-hyuk tells Nirasha, but you don't need to be so nervous about it. We have no intention of taking credit away from you. We're just here to get the Wailing Witch. Jin-hyuk thinks, to be exact, the only thing I really need is the Wailing Witch's skill, Black Tears, which will be hella useful when fighting the dragon later. He tells them that the witch's cauldron will be donated in your name. Everyone starts to talk and says, he doesn't want anything for lending a hand? He's just something else. This hope feels so nice. Jin-hyuk smiles and thinks, what are they talking about? I don't want anything? Do I look like a social worker? Jin-hyuk uses an eye for gluttony. It's basically a buffet for me. She sees the status window of Maria. She is level 61. A copy condition appears saying, copy conditions, Maria is grateful that you saved her life. Show off your magic skills to earn her admiration and respect. You will be able to copy Hellfire if you succeed. Jin-hyuk smiles and thinks, perfectly. Teresa thinks, this time, I will stay by Jin-hyuk's side. Jin-hyuk calls. She says, yes. He tells her, please stay in the back lines this time. I'm taking Maria to the front. She is so sad. Jin-hyuk gets closer to her and says, Teresa, I have my reasons. Listen closely. He tells her something. She says, I see. Then I guess I should do as you said. Manhwa asks, what did he say to her that got her so serious all of a sudden? Lee says, who knows? Jin-hyuk smiles. Jin-hyuk says, let's get going. I'll do the briefing. This place is divided into 7 areas, and there are no monsters. Yoon-seok says the only things we'll be facing are the Wailing Witch and her creations. Jin-hyuk says, this disciple symbolized the 7 deadly sins. A really big monster appears in front of them. It is a disciple of pride. Yoon-seok shouts, prepare for battle. Jin-hyuk says, why don't you get out of the way instead? Jin-hyuk, Lee and Manhwa are ready to fight. Jin-hyuk smiles and tells them, I think that would make this more convenient for us. Wailing Witch is watching them, and she is annoyed by them. She asks, why can't they simply let me rest in peace? They keep on coming. Just when will they give up? A representative of the demonic human appears behind her and says, as one of the representatives of the Demonic Human Association, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Wailing Witch Isabella. Isabella says, listen to me. I just live a quiet little life, building disciples in the image of the 7 deadly sins. And I want to continue doing so with nothing else in mind. So why do these humans? I want them to leave me alone. He tells her, that's why we've stepped up to help. She gets happy and says, ooh, really? You're gonna help me? How are you going to do that? He tells her, we've devised a simple plan for that. Isabella, for that, all you have to do is open the 7th room. My loyal subordinate, Tristan, will take care of things immediately after you do. After that we see, Maria, Nirasha, and Yoon-seok are really surprised. Jin-hyuk's team is destroying pride. Manhwa looks really cool and she says, how dare you hold your hand up so high? She drills his face down on the ground. System tells that the disciple of pride is in a humble pose. Damage nullification has been cancelled. Jin-hyuk uses Colossus Ultimate Strike. So they take damage once they get into the humble pose? Who would have thought that the strategy to beat these things was something this weird? Yoon-seok thinks I'm impressed. They're all very skilled on their own too, but their teamwork has improved since the last time I saw them. Yoon-seok says, finally, we're making some progress. Although it does hurt my ego a little bit. Maria thinks, I've never seen Kong Jin-hyuk's group fight. They're amazing. No, wait. Is that the right way to describe it? Absolutely not. This is more like bullying. This is the end. Subscribe for more. In the start we see Jin-hyuk yawn. Manhwa says, if it were possible, I wouldn't even want to breathe. Lee says, I want every single cell to go into hibernation. They think talking is bothersome. Even breathing is bothersome. Apostle of Sloth appears in front of him. System tells, the defense of the Apostle of Sloth decreases by 100% due to extreme sloth. Jin-hyuk throws the dagger and hits the sloth. System says, the Apostle of Sloth is vanishing. Maria is surprised. Jin-hyuk says, this strategy is always funny no matter when we do it. It reminds me of the old days, right? Maria thinks, lying down first to avoid the curse of sleep? What kind of strategy is that? a 3-hour psychological counseling session, and using aromatherapy to conquer the Apostle of Wrath. Spending an insane amount of coins to conquer the Apostle of Greed. Unlike us who only think about overpowering with firepower, the approach itself is fundamentally different. She says, the methods are a bit absurd, but if we continue with these strategies, the ruin raid will be very successful. Isn't that right, Nirasha? She is not behind her. Nirasha kneels on the ground and says, "O Shiva, please respond to the desperate call of your believer." She thinks, are you not even answering anymore? Tristan appears in front of her and says, the sight of being abandoned looks. Nirasha, Guildmaster of Gandhara. Gandhara says, who are you? Show yourself immediately. She brings out her weapons. Tristan appears behind her. She says, I shall help you. She activates a whisper of darkness. Gandhara gets angry and says, get lost. Tristan says, so this is what makes an S-class different, huh? Resisting my mind control skill. He thinks, of all times. Now when you can't use mandala, you face a mental attack. Tristan asks, are you trying to use a mental barrier? What should we do about this? Tristan uses a whisper of darkness. Tristan says, you have been abandoned by your deity, so you must be defenseless. After that we see, conquering the Apostle of Lust is something I never want to do again. Yes, every time, I feel like. I can't even put it into words. If Sister Teresa were here, she would have fainted. Jinhyuk says, why are you getting so serious? As long as it's cleared, it's fine. It's only Maria, and I told her to wear a blindfold. She's not wearing it properly. Yanawa says, damn it, Maria. How much did you see? Lady Maria. He thinks, now, only 2 apostles. And the ruined boss, wailing which is left. Maria says, Mr. Kong Jinhyuk, do you have any comments? Maria says, no, it's not that. I haven't seen Nirasha for a while. After that we see Yoonseok and his team are collecting magic stones. One of them says, the rear of the attack squad is quite nice. Just need to take care of the magic stones and move them. Another hunter says, with so many magic stones coming out like this, honestly, if I sneak one, it wouldn't be noticeable, right? Yoonseok hits them in the head and tell them, stop talking nonsense and keep carrying the magic stones. They say, Team Leader Jang Yoonseok. Yoonseok thinks it's a notorious ruin raid, but it feels peaceful enough to joke around. Sometimes, this kind of atmosphere isn't bad. Nirasha appears there. He asks her, what brings you here instead of leading the vanguard? Yoonseok says, Lady Nirasha? She uses, activating resonance. She breaks a wall. The only path to vanguard gets blocked. Yoonseok says, Lady Nirasha, what on earth are you doing? As the representative of the Dangun Guild, I formally protest. She attacks Yoonseok. One of them calls Maria and says, we have a problem. Lady Nirasha collapsed the passage, and now she has started attacking everyone. Team leader Jang Yoonseok has fallen to Nirasha. Maria says, what? Start treating him and send him to the rear. He tells her, but he said he's the only one who can stop Arasha, and he's holding his ground. Maria tells Jinhyuk and the others, damn it, we need to go back and open the passage. Jinhyuk says, no, it's too late. We have a visitor. Wailing Witch and Tristan gets there. Jinhyuk thinks, this sinister energy. It's definitely the Wailing Witch. Isabella. Isabella tells Tristan, well done, Mina. You really stirred things up from the inside, just like you said. The 7th room is yours as promised. And you lot. Did you think you could just destroy my apostles? Now it's your turn to suffer, and my turn to watch. Apostle of Gluttony appears there, and starts to attack. Isabella says, go and devour them, you fatso. Maria uses hellfire. Maria thinks, it's not working. Yanawa appears in front of her and says, sis, magic doesn't work on this one. Maria says, so, we have to use another bizarre strategy this time? Jinhyuk says, yes, that's right. Among the apostle strategies, this one's the Mo5os bizarre. Do you see those things hanging around its neck? They look withered and hard to recognize at first glance. But those are the corpses of monsters that used to live in this ruin. And we have to eat those to deal damage to it. Maria is really surprised. Maria thinks, what do you mean, eat? Isabella laughs and says, yes, go and devour everything. It's a punishment for trespassing into my home. Jinhyuk activates. Eyes of Gluttony. Isabella is 469 years old. System tells Jinhyuk, Isabella is a being who has lived cruising her own birth. If you can reverse to the moment of her birth and welcome her warmly, you can copy one of her skills. Jinhyuk thinks, good, this won't be difficult. Isabella says, oh, right? I forgot to tell you. I sent jealousy and the demons to the rear. The other hunters ask, why is the apostle jealous here? They starts to run away. Demonic humans say so much to clean up. This place must be clean for the descent of the demon lord, right? Maria gets a video call from the other hunters. They tell her that the demons and the apostles of jealousy are sweeping through the rear. A demon appears right beside Jinhyuk and tells him, hey, it's not too late. Jinhyuk asks, how did you get down to the 15th floor? Demon tells him, I used some tricks to talk to you. Don't worry, only you can see and hear me. How about it? If you become my dark apostle, I'll give you the power to resolve this situation instantly. Right now, you seem to be in a very troublesome situation, right? Attacks don't work on the apostle. Jinhyuk smiles and asks, did you think I was in a crisis? Demon is confused. Demon humans attack and get counter. Black Teresa appears in front of him. Jinhyuk tells the demon I already have the strongest support ready. Demonic human smiles and says, ambush for ambush. To think Kong Jinhyuk prepared such a gift. We see a flashback where Jinhyuk tells Teresa, the demon who summoned the demons into the Holy Empire will come here. That foul energy is emanating from everywhere. I'm informing you because I know what the Holy Empire means to you, Miss Teresa. She says, Gawain, I can't forgive him. Because of him, many sisters of the Holy Empire had to lose their lives. Black Teresa tells Teresa, those ungrateful sisters, who point fingers at us right after we save their lives. Teresa says, don't say that. They don't know our situation. She says, fine. Let's say that's true. So, what do you want to do? Teresa says, capture Gawain and hand him over to the Awakener Association. Black Teresa asks, will that demon apologize and reflect on his actions? The Holy Empire means nothing to the Awakener Association. They won't even prosecute him. Kill him. He must pay for touching what you hold dear. This is infuriating. She traps the Tressa in a cage and says, reflect on your actions there. I can't take this anymore. Gawain uses necromancy. Teresa kills all the summoned monsters easily. Gawain smiles and says, oh no, you might actually kill me. Is it even right for a saint to kill someone? Black Teresa knee kicks him in the stomach and grabs him from the hairs. She asks, where? All I see are insects. She is beating Gawain to a pulp. Jealousy is after other hunters. Qianyong is reading something and says, let's see. The note Jinhyuk gave me. I can't read these tiny letters. He throws the glasses and note. He kicks the jealousy in the face. She smiles and says, as long as you and our Manhwa solve everything, just keep hitting them and it'll work out somehow. Black Teresa looks really evil and still punching Gawain in the face. Maria sees that and thinks, you anticipated the ambush and hid reinforcements? Amazing. Demon starts to laugh really hard and says, as expected of you. To think you prepared for the ambush. Demon asks, so what are we going to do with that fatty apostle? Jinhyuk tells Taemin, distract him with the drones. He says, okay. Taemin summons the drones. Isabella yells and asks, hey, fatty, what are you doing? Not that. You should catch the intruders. Jinhyuk uses the sword demon emperor's step and the things hanging on the necklace of the fatty. Jinhyuk activates an otherworldly restaurant. System says, using the item 101 recipes for the amateur cook. No matter the ingredients, you can transform them into fantastic dishes in both appearance and taste. Taemin and Manhwa asks Jinhyuk, what are you doing? Jinhyuk says, only one of these 4 dishes is a real dish that doesn't use monster corpses. If it tastes even a little off, feel free to spit it out, because it's probably monster meat. Manhwa says, eating monster meat? It could traumatize you for life. Jinhyuk tells her there's only one other way to defeat the Apostle of Gluttony. Eat it, hoping it's the real dish. They all eat at the same time. Maria thinks it's delicious. Did I get the real dish? Maria says, sorry, everyone, but I. Taemin says, it's delicious. So did I not get it? Yanhua says, mine was delicious too? A system window appears in front of all three of them saying, you feel a sense of kinship with the Apostle of Gluttony. You can now deal damage to the Apostle of Gluttony. Jinhyuk tells them, if we just think it's the real dish like we did before, isn't that enough? After all, it's just electrical signals sent to the brain, right? They are really sad. Fatty is confused. Yanhua kicks it in the face real hard using a wind kick. Taemin is brushing his teeth and uses a mechanical lord. They hit Fatty with a lot of powerful attacks. Isabella screams my gluttony. She starts to cry. Jinhyuk appears in front of her with a monstrous look on his face and says, now it's just you left. This is the end. Subscribe for more.